much. Jermon, are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Brian, are you ready to go?
Acknowledged. Yes.
All right, Pete, are you ready to go?
Affirmative.
All right, then, let's do it. Well. It is time yet again for the springtime draft of our usual Paprika seasonal bit of business. The times being what they are, we are not at the studio, obviously, but technology, thankfully, comes to the rescue with this bit of business. And we have our usual repertoire players with us for this draft. So let's go ahead and go down the line.
Not ready for primetime players.
They're not ready for primetime players.
We're not ready for the not ready for primetime players.
We are damn sure ready for Zoom, though.
We are damn sure ready for Zoom. And that voice you hear is, of course, Mr. Pete Lentz joining us for his third or fourth draft. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, man? I'm doing well. I'm making the most of my time here in the quarantine. Started launching my video show on Twitch, taking requests and piano and stuff. And it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I think, about 5 or 6 on Twitch. For all you listeners out there, if you want to do it.
All right. Make sure you throw that link. I think you've already thrown the link in Paprika. Make sure you throw it out there a couple of times and bump it up so people see it.
Also, as long as that's cool, I don't want to go overboard with my self-promotion.
Nah, go for it. Not a problem. Also joining us is Mr. Jermon Jackson. Snackin' Jackson, how you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful. Apparently, quarantine is not much different from my normal routine, so I just don't go to the comic shop now.
Understandable. Now, I've had the most conversations with you about this, and we are in agreement that we have no idea how to approach this particular draft, being the comedy draft.
Right. I just you just don't know what, especially with the Paprikans, what their sensibilities are.
Yeah.
How do you skew it?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting bit of business.
I think in the case of the Paprikans, whatever your inclination is, go in the opposite direction, and I think you'll land somewhere close.
Somehow we all tied at 58 votes apiece. And that voice you hear is one-time champ, Mr. Brian Martin. How are you doing there, sir?
I'm going to put that on my business cards, on my stationery. One-time champ.
One-time draft champ.
I'm doing pretty well. I've been using Zoom a lot for my professional life, and while I don't have this internet piano show that Pete's got, I will just throw my personal Zoom meeting ID out there, and you guys can just bounce into my professional meetings whenever you want.
Don't because I'll do that. I will do that.
Pete, you'll be required to sing a song. I think it'll be delightful.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah.
You definitely don't. You don't want me there. You don't want me to do it.
Of course we do. I pay to watch that.
Earlier, before we started, he knows what I will do.
But here's what I do think about the draft this time. I think that I think Pete's usual strategy of picking old ass shit it could serve him very well this time because
it's going to.
I think comedies I think it would be a fool's errand to select comedies, a bulk of your things from the last 10 years. I think that would be foolish.
Yeah.
So I'm just, it could go, I don't know what Paprikans think about comedy movies. So I'm going to be very interested to see how this shakes out.
It seems like comedy is the topic that is discussed the least in Paprika. We had a comedy week during Fandom Month last year, but outside of that,
hey, just wait for the foreign film draft that we're going to be amping up for in the fall. Everybody's going to be like, my number one is Star Wars. I think that was filmed in London and Tunisia.
Everybody's going to pick Parasite, and then we're all going to be done.
Yeah, somehow Parasite got picked 40 times, and we're not sure how this shakes out.
There's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Jermon comes in with a dark horse. Crouching Tiger.
It'll be all kung fu flicks.
Dark horse hidden snacking.
Let's get this business rolling here. Now, if you've listened to our drafts before, how we do things is I have just a cup full of numbers, 1 through 4. We pick from the cup, and whatever number we pick is whatever number we end up with.
And we always pick the same numbers for the most part.
Damn near. That's not the case this time around, since we are not all co-located, but I do have a number randomizing app that goes from 1 to 4. So, Brian, since you were biggest on my screen right now for some reason, I will draft, or I will get your draft order first, and you will be number 4.
Impossible. Oh.
No,
man.
No, it's happening.
Well,
It starts.
Yeah.
All right. I'll go next to give this a little bit of a shakeup. And I am, no, 4 is already taken. 4 is already taken. I will be 3.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a change.
That is a change. Let's get Mr. Jackson going on in here.
Come on. Big money, no whammies.
3 is already taken. 4 is already taken. 3 is already taken.
Some randomizer.
Yeah, right? Jesus, it just keeps going back between 3 and 4 over and over and over again. 1!
What?
I feel attacked.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
And that leaves Mr. Pete Lentz for number 2. So the order will be Jermond, Pete, me, and then Brian.
Double Verhoeven.
But
Although, don't all of his movies technically count as comedies as well?
Yeah, I was gonna say RoboCop's gonna be Pete's top pick.
All right, then. For those of you who don't realize how fantasy drafts work, it will go in what we call a snake order. So it will go 1 through 4, then 4 through 1, then 1 through 4, and then it will proceed all the way down. So we each have drafted our 10 comedy movies. And I think all that aside, man, without further ado, Mr. Jackson, the floor is yours.
All
as
right.
you continue to mess with all your stuff over there.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
What was that? Oh, okay.
Let's do this. Okay, first pick here. Now, see, I literally did not know where to start off here. So I basically what I did, I had to, of course, do some research on the internet. And
what is comedy?
Yes. I did a long dissertation. No. But I'm going to start off with one of my heavy hitters, one of my favorite comedy movies, kind of one of my go-tos, The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh, wow, okay.
All right.
Interesting gambit, sir.
Yes, that is the one movie I think that should have been the case for the Oscars doing a Best Ensemble Cast category.
Mm.
Like, that cast is absolutely stellar. Like, probably Judd Apatow's best movie.
I'll agree with that. It's
Paul Rudd. I'm sorry, was that?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's Apatow's best movie, I think, by far.
Yes, yeah. Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, like Seth Rogen, Romany Malco, Jane Lynch. I mean, Kevin Hart. That one scene he was in alone.
Yeah.
Oh my! Aim high, Willis.
Pete, what are your thoughts on the 40-year-old version? Where was that on your list? Was it on your list?
No, actually, no, it was not. No, it wasn't on my list. I definitely think that movie's very funny. But I don't know. There were a lot for me. There were a lot of comedies in front of it. It does have one of my favorite things because I'm in a yacht rock band and I'm a huge yacht rock music fan. And they do the thing with the Michael McDonald video. Oh. And Paul Rudd is like, if I have to hear this song one more time, Yamo burn this place to the ground. and so I listened to the yacht rock Sirius station in the car all the time, and of course they play Yamo Be There like every day.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I think of every time I see that pop up on the screen in the car. I'm like, Yamo burn this place to
yeah, which is probably how we all feel about our respective lines of business. Brian, what's your favorite scene coming out of this movie?
I think the most memorable scene in the movie is the waxing scene.
Kelly Clarkson.
Like there's just this raw power to it. And the comedy things I like the most, or the things I tend to gravitate to, are the ones where people just throw themselves in. Like they just surrender their entire, not just mind, but their body. for the sake of comedy, and I feel like that's like the scene in this movie that achieves that. So it's like either you're feeling it at that point or you're never going to, and I mean that on multiple levels.
Right. Yeah, if you're not in by then you might as well just get up and walk out the theater.
But it's it's really good, and I think Apatow, even at his worst, is good about tapping into something that's sort of this universal human emotion. I think there's always there's always sort of this genuine approach to it. And so and I think 40-Year-Old Virgin probably, other than maybe like what Freaks and Geeks, probably encapsulates that the most.
I get that.
Movie had a lot of heart, like a lot of heart. Like underneath all the raunch and the profanity, there was a beautiful love story in there.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I think he didn't lose focus of what the true purpose of the movie was, and that was finding someone worthwhile to break that cherry with, regardless of however old you are. First time special. Not mine.
And that relationship punctuated by the singing, the glorious singing of Age of Aquarius from Hair.
All right, then, Pete, what is your first pick?
I can't wait.
Man,
I cannot wait.
No, this is I'm taking this.
Some like it hot, Pete. Some like it hot.
Nope.
Me and Jamal made the same joke.
Is that where you think? Okay, what's that movie, The Fabulous Mr. Hitler or whatever? Charlie Chaplin joined. The Fabulous Mr. Hitler.
The Fabulous Mr. Hitler. Oh God, it's a classic, Pete. Go with it.
Come on, Pete. I got $20 on duck soup.
It's that film of the train coming at the audience. It just cracks Pete up every single time.
All right, Pete, what you got?
Okay, so I've got to grab this strike while the iron's hot. The Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
That's to me, in my personal opinion, it's literally probably the funniest movie I've ever seen. I consistently I've seen Big Lebowski so many times, and I laugh at the same shit every time. And that's pretty much the whole movie. I laugh at the entire movie. The cast is when we're talking about cast, man. I mean, Jeff Bridges, just totally fully encapsulating the role. So many other, Julia Moore and John Turturro, and John Goodman can't be overstated in the movie either. Steve Buscemi just right there to be the butt of jokes, and then dies as the ultimate joke. Like, just there's so much about the movie. Plus, it's got such a cult following. There are actually Big Lebowski clubs. We've got Big Lebowski drinking games. It put White Russians back on the map for its cultural as well as comedic impact cannot be overstated. The Big Lebowski is my choice. Number one.
Nice.
This movie gave us something that I have used at great liberty since January of 2017. It's just responding to our president's tweets with "Shut the fuck up, Donnie." Over and over and over and over again. Brian, what's your thoughts on Old Lebowski?
I'm with Pete all the way on this one. I crack up every single time I watch it, and it's not like I find new things to love. It's the same things over and over and over again, and they're just so well executed. Like the scene where the strongmen come in his house and pull the bowling ball out, and he's like, "What the fuck is this, Lebowski?" And it's like, obviously you're not a golfer. The scene. The scene, it's like it's so well written, but there are so many little just like physical comedy moments in the movie too. Like the cop that throws the coffee mug at his head. The foley on that coffee mug as it collides with his skull. And the scene where the dude is like nailing that board into the floor in front of the door so people won't get in, and then it turns out the door opens outwards. Like, so it did no good whatsoever. Like, that's that stuff, man. So great.
It's so subtle. It's so subtle.
Jamon, what do you think?
Oh man, that's that's probably one of the movies that's most associated, you would think, with the Coen brothers and Jeff Bridges for that matter. I mean, He's pretty much played the dude ever since then.
Jeff Bridges never got out of the role. Like he's
No,
still in
no, I think
character
it was
today.
just him.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges in Lebowski is the same Jeff Bridges you get in Tron Legacy. Definitely
Yeah.
the same character.
And
Digital
Crazy Frog.
jazz, man.
Yeah.
For me, man, the one of the standouts of this movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman as Brent, because he's got
Oh God.
the weirdest role in this movie. He's this uptight yes man to the Big Lebowski that cracks me up whenever he's on scene, especially when it's him and the dude. You think the Rug Pissers did this? I love all parts of that movie. And the Nihilist. There's so many different plots coming together to feed into this narrative.
And at the center, the dude.
Yeah, Jeffrey Lebowski. Yeah.
I just
Yes.
You
So
gotta
good.
talk about and you have to talk about like the narrator, balladeer, whatever you want to call him in this.
Sam
Sam
God,
Elliott.
yeah, Sam Elliott. It's Sam Elliott at his most Sam Elliott. Like
You have to use so many cuss words.
yeah.
What are you talking
comfort in
about?
that.
All right, then. It is on me, and I'll go ahead and get this old school class. Oh, by the way, Pete, your number 1 was my number 22. So
I don't have any taste at all.
Mm.
All right, then. Well, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take Blazing Saddles off.
No,
the list.
fuck.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yes, thank you.
Good
Man,
call.
it is my favorite of Mel Brooks movies. I'm not the hugest Mel Brooks fan. Like Young Frankenstein is good. Robin Hood Men in Tights, Spaceballs is good. But for me, Blazing Saddles is head and shoulders above all of those.
This was one of the ones that I was most curious about what Paprika thinks, because I know that there are a lot of like 90s kids that Robin Hood Men in Tights is like one of the funniest movies ever made. And I think it's one of the like middling to low end Mel Brooks movies.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do I go with what I think they would pick, or do I pick what is legitimately his best movies? And Blazing Saddles was one of those 2 or 3 that I came up with.
It was number 4 on my list.
Yeah.
It was definitely on my list.
Number 3 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm glad I snatched it up when I did. There's the jokes to minute ratio, I think, is like number 2, right behind another movie that's probably on all of our lists. There's visual gags, there's sight gags, it's slapstick, it's wordplay. There's every bit of comedy at work and all firing on all cylinders. It got some good love, Brian, to your point. When I put it on the 100 for 100 list, it responded pretty appropriately. So I felt pretty comfortable snagging it as high as I did. Jermon, what do you think about this?
Oh man, I remember because I didn't get to see it until later on, like maybe like early 2000s. But yeah, just mind blowing. Like because Mel Brooks is just throwing shit at the wall constantly or whatever, and it's like hitting like one after another. Like that. This Gene Wilder, at his like probably some of the best Gene Wilder stuff you've seen since like outside of Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Pete, what you got to say?
Oh, dude, Blazing Saddles, man. I got exposed to that at a very, very early age, back before I should have ever known what the N word was. And not to give too much away about myself, but being from a very small town where there was literally one black person, and I shit you not, his name was Tom Shade. That's not a lie. That's not made up. But like
bad luck.
We didn't. Yeah, it was not that kind of cultural. I don't know whatever, however you want to call it. That didn't even touch us. We didn't even think about that when we were kids. We just thought it was funny, And then there's a fart scene around the fire, and I could go on, but it would just be spinning wheels. It's an absolutely wonderful, awesome, no holds barred, take no prisoners comedy that manages to offend everyone and make everyone laugh all at once. It's a 100%er for me.
Well said.
And that ending, the ending where they're all just on the movie lot, like, oh god,
straight Monty Python, dude. That's what that felt like.
Yeah.
It felt like the American Monty Python.
Yeah, it's about
brilliant.
as close as you get. Strange fact, a little bit of trivia for you. My Easter tradition, and we are recording this on Easter Day, my Easter tradition is I eat a spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's and I watch Blazing Saddles. So that is
So you can fart when it's time for the farting scene.
Nice. Like my Easter tradition is to pull out Passion of the Christ, which is incidentally number 5 on my list.
I love how you took a moment to actually look down at your list to sell that joke. All right, Brian, and it is on you, sir, for your pick.
So I actually compiling my list of movies for this was easier than any previous draft. Just in terms of the movies I was choosing to include as possibilities and like just filtering out others. And when I went to arrange a potential top 10 with a couple alternates, I found that the initial 10 that I wrote down were pretty much intact. Like I didn't change very much. But for me, it's like there's never any question about the movies that should go on a best comedy list are always the ones that are the most quotable. I think quotes are kind of the biggest thing I thought of when coming up with my entire list. Like how quotable is this movie? And my number 1 pick is, to me, one of the most quotable films of all time. I think every single joke lands, every single line is awesome. I loved this movie as a kid, and as I grew up, I loved it in substantially different ways because when I was a kid, I thought it was cool, and when I grew up, I was like, this is the funniest movie I have ever seen in my life. And that movie is Ghostbusters.
Oh.
Nothing to me is as funny as this movie is. Bill Murray is just on fire the entire time. Dan Aykroyd has this wonderful childlike innocence about him that makes his lines funny. And Harold Ramis's lines, he's the straight man throughout. And that's what makes him so funny, because nothing in the movie makes sense. Even the normal things don't make sense in this movie. And like when he talks about his hobbies, I collect spores, molds, and fungus. And it just walks away. Like that's the biggest conversation killer I think I've ever heard in a movie. So Janine just wants to engage him and you seem very nice, and then he just drops that one and leaves. Oh my God! Every moment of this movie, and it's another movie that never gets old for me. Like I could watch this movie every day forever. And
because your mom, you picked it on the sci-fi draft. If I remember.
Sci-fi, yeah. It was in my list here. It was definitely in my list, but I was like, do I need to go? I don't want to go to the Ghostbusters well too many times. It's probably easily one of my favorite movies. Easily top 10, maybe even top 5. And I love that whole interplay between all the characters. Even Harold Ramis, like I just howl every time. Like it's obvious, like Janine is trying to hit on him and stuff, and he's just like completely oblivious to it. Like,
P, what you got about this movie?
Oh man, I've loved. I saw Ghostbusters in the theater when it initially came out because I'm that old, and obviously when I was a kid, not all the jokes landed. I didn't, like Brian, I didn't understand some of it at first, and then as I got older, the jokes became more funny because now I've lived life and I understand some of what they're talking about, and. But yeah, stellar performances from every single person in the cast.
And I really think it benefited from, like most of the cast had worked together before. Ivan Reitman had worked with several of them before. Yeah. And I think that came across because the moment you meet these guys all together in the movie in the library, there is no question that these people, you understand their relationships almost immediately. And there's this implied shared history that these people have that we all know that they have because we've seen them all in movies or things together before. But that line where Venkman says, this is like that time when you tried to drill a hole in your head. And Egon's like, that would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. And it's like that kind of stuff. It's like so funny. And it's laying the groundwork at the same time. It's just
that's one of my favorite exchanges in the movie, actually, is the drilling your hole in your head. That would have worked if you hadn't stopped me. Because in your mind, you're like, that probably would have worked because Egon is the one that was doing it. And he probably would have known exactly where to drill it. Something so stupid. Still, like it still lands very funny, and the effects at the time still, to me, the effects still hold up. Like I get some of it stop motion and stuff like that, but like the ghost in the library, is absolutely dope. And then when it changes and comes at them, I'm like, yes, man, that's absolutely outstanding.
My go for it.
Okay, good. Well, I was gonna say I always like even watching that and looking at the friendship between the Ghostbusters and everything. I was like, how was Peter Venkman ever friends with them? It was like he was a complete dick the entire. I guess we all have that one friend or whatever that's like
he's that cool jock in school that's trying to get his science credit.
All right then, Mr. Martin, starting out round 2, what is your next pick?
Ooh, I honestly didn't expect this one to still be available by the end of round 1, and I feel like it almost wasn't. It's probably number 2 on more than just my list. But that is Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
God damn it, it is number 2 on my list.
When we talk quotable movies, again, it's just one of those things that, like, ever since I was in high school, it's like you just reach this threshold and nobody mentions it, and then all of a sudden you're in maybe 11th grade and suddenly everyone's aware of it simultaneously, and from then on everybody is quoting it. What a just insane, brilliant movie this is. Like, when you think back to it, like, it's kind of the opposite of Ghostbusters, because I have everything in Ghostbusters memorized. And while I remember everything in Monty Python, it's not until I sit down and watch it again that I remember how that movie fits together.
Yeah.
Like nothing seems to logically move from scene to scene. It's just a bunch of sort of isolated things that culminate in one of the craziest endings I think I've ever seen in a movie. We're just like, I guess we're done filming and we're all getting arrested now. It's so terrific. Like if you were to describe the plot of the movie, you could say like, King Arthur and the knights go in search of the Holy Grail, but really the plot of the movie is that a historian gets killed and the police are trying to figure out who did it. Like that's kind of the if you're looking for an actual plot structure in this movie, that's probably the most clear-cut thing.
Yeah, the thing that when you talk about you can't remember how everything fits together, it's for me that's the middle of the film, because that's roundabout when they all kind of break out into their own thing, and you got Lancelot doing his thing, and then you got
Castle Anthrax scene and
the Castle Anthrax scene, and and then you got Arthur and Patsy and all them with the old man from Scene 37, which I'm still not sure if that is the 37th scene when you first meet that guy. I've been meaning to count, but yeah, that's where things kind of meander a bit, and it's all like just a bunch of good bits until they all solidify back in. Jermon, what do you think about this joint?
I remember, like, it's literally the only Monty Python movie I've seen, and oh my god, yeah, it is memorable. Like you cannot watch that and it's not one of those movies you just watch and it's like forget about later on. It will stick with you for a while, if not forever. Like, I mean, first thing I really think about, like, just watching it, The Black Knight. This.
Bite your knees off.
The Black Knight, the French guardsman.
Yeah, that's my man.
The sorcerer Tim. Just what a bunch of weird ass characters.
Pete, what you got on Monty Python and Holy Grail?
Oh man, I love that movie. That's another one of those that, like, its impact on the cultural zeitgeist can't be overstated. Like the knights who say "knee," everybody knows that. Even if you haven't, it's one of those things. Just like knowing Darth Vader's Luke's father, like you can know that without ever having seen Empire Strikes Back, just because that's how culturally relevant it is. And the knights who say "knee," same kind of thing. Like, my kids know the knights who say "knee," and I damn sure have not shown them Monty Python. Like they know it from like memes and stuff, or and there's so much. The Black Knight, bring out your dead. I'm not dead. Oh, you will be in a few minutes. Shut up.
He must be a king. How can you tell? He hasn't got shit all over him.
See, so much, and you're right. That's right about the time that I discovered it too. Was in high school, Brian. So and of course, the guy that my mom and I lived with for a long time, common law marriage or whatever. He was a huge Monty Python fan, so we watched Flying Circus all the time. he had The Meaning of Life. That's the first time I ever saw that. Like, and yeah, just I saw Faulty Towers with that guy. So I went way down the English
Python hole.
Python hole. Yeah.
Way down the rabbits with sharp pointy teeth hole.
Yeah. Even to like stuff like the fish called Wanda and things like that.
Little Kevin Kline.
No, yeah, great. And Michael Palin.
Yeah. Okay, then. So it is back over to me, your current champion, by the way.
Yeah, keep plugging.
It's the first time I've mentioned it. All right, I'm going to go ahead while it's still available. I'm already calling audibles on my list. I'm going to go ahead and take Coming to America.
Oh,
wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I knew that was going early.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, man, this to me is the best Eddie Murphy movie we have ever gotten and will probably ever get. There's a couple that come close, but not quite. Like, this is Eddie at his full powers. This is Arsenio as one of the best supporting characters I've seen in a movie. Who directed this? I think Landis directed this.
Landis.
This is Landis on top of his game. When he's not having kids killed in movies. Shout out to the Twilight Zone. It's such a simple plot. Like, this person I'm being forced to marry. I don't know anything about her. I want to actually go out and find love. And it's probably the best fish out of water story that I know. And it's just packed full of gags, razor sharp writing. Nods to James Earl Jones and Star Wars. It's so much good shit in there.
Yes.
Jermon, what do you have to say about this?
Oh my God. My mom had this, like, she recorded this on VHS back in the day, and I wore that fucking tape out. It's one of those movies you watch over and over, and like, there's little bits and stuff you find a new appreciation for every time. Like, the scene with John Amos, like when they walk into his office and he quickly puts down that McDonald's training operations manual or whatever. It affects my life to this day. Like, every time the first of the month comes up, I'm like, the rent's due, motherfucker.
Hey, Stu. Brian, what do you have on this?
Yeah, I mean, just what you guys are saying. I think, if it's not my favorite Eddie Murphy movie, it's really, really close. I have one movie on my list somewhere that's higher than this one. It is Pluto Nash. But yeah, just
pretty funny.
what an assembly of talent. And yeah, I don't know. I agree. I don't know that fish out of water stories get better than this.
Yeah, Pete.
What does dumb fuck mean?
All right.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite thing. And the Let Your Soul Glow.
Yes.
Yes. One of the greatest commercials, fictional.
And it gave us Sexual Chocolate. Randy Jackson.
And I think a shout out has to be given definitely to Arsenio in the multiple roles he played, as well as Ed,
sure.
and the barbershop guys are some of my favorite guys in movies. You need a good sense. All right, then, Pete, what is your second pick?
The Princess Bride.
Ooh.
There it is.
I've got it. I got it on my list.
The Princess Bride is one of the most funny, action-packed, medieval love stories. Like, there's so many descriptive words that you can use to describe The Princess Bride, and they are all correct. It's one of the only movies I've ever seen that manages to pull off so many multiple genres in a believable in a believable, sincere way. And the fact that it holds up for all of those levels too. I mean, it's extremely funny and it's immensely quotable, but the sword fight between Dread Pirate Roberts and Inigo Montoya is one of the best sword fights that's ever been put on film ever.
Yeah.
Like, that is an absolutely epic sword battle. I love there's like a video online that somebody's gone and posted lightsabers over it with all the sound effects and shit. And it is so dope. That sword fight is so good. And Carrie Ells is fantastic. And Manny Patinkin under the giant, like, Fred Savage, even to the point that Deadpool 2 or Once Upon a Deadpool calls back to it. And all of those jokes in that movie are funny, or all in those sequences of the movie are funny because The Princess Bride was so good and funny and memorable. And it just, The Big Lebowski for me just managed to edge it out, just because I think I laugh more at The Big Lebowski than I do about The Princess Bride. But there's so much about The Princess Bride to be thankful for. It absolutely deserves number 2 on my list.
It's very memeable. Like it's still very memeable. The inconceivable thing, or that word, I do not know. I think you know what it means. You kill my father, prepare to die. There's so many moments in that movie. Have fun, storm in the castle, that are still very much in the public consciousness, I think. And I think it's partly because the movie's really funny, but it's really because the movie, again, there's this level of sincerity to it that is just like, it makes you connect, not just in a funny way, but just emotionally with what you're seeing too. It's just a really heartfelt, funny movie.
Jamon, have you seen Princess Bride?
Now, every time we do one of these podcasts, I reveal one of my gaping blind spots. Princess Bride is one of them.
Wow. Damn it, snacking.
I'm done.
We're going to have a new podcast on the Paprika Network called Jermaine's Blonde Spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll compile a list. I was actually thinking of doing that at one point.
And the show could be about what Jermon thinks the movie's about. Like he's summarizing the movie. He hasn't watched it. He's acknowledging that he hasn't seen it, but then he's going to drop what he believes the movie is about, like in a detailed plot summary.
All he gets is like a cast list of character names, and that's it. And
then he gets points for how close he gets.
You know what,
guys? Please do this. Please make this a thing. I will like and share. Over
to like my 100 for 100 series.
Oh, that's how you follow that up.
That's it. But I'm pretty sure that the Princess Bride, this going to win me this whole bitch right here.
You think Princess Bride's going to be that's your ace in the hole, huh?
That's my ace. It just goes downhill from here.
Very nice. Yeah, and there's so much. Speaking of going downhill, man, my favorite part of that movie is as he's tumbling down the hill, as you wished, as you wish.
And then she realizes and jumps after.
And then jumps out. Like, what's that's the dumbest thing to do after you've realized what you've done is not throw yourself down the hill. And for some reason, that's why I find that part so fun. The rodents of unusual size.
I don't think they exist.
It's a great bit. The mania of Inigo Montoya's repeating his speech over and over again. The guy's yelling, "Just stop saying that!" cracks me up every time as well. There's so much to love about that movie. Well done, Pete. All right, Mr. Jackson, what is your first of 2 picks?
Oh, this is my first time doing this. I'm not used to this, but
it feels good, doesn't it? It feels good.
No, I gotta go one of my heavy hitters here. This movie, granted, it may seem problematic today, but when it came out, oh my God, it is absolutely hilarious. Tropic Thunder.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God. The Academy usually doesn't recognize comedy super often. Robert Downey Jr. got nominated for an Oscar for this. This was just an amazing satire on Hollywood and, all these different acting tropes. Best I've seen in Tom Cruise ever.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. It's like Tom Cruise at his most comically self-aware, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like he finally just kind of I'm going to kind of poke fun at. I'm going to let myself be the joke of the movie.
Yeah.
Not something you get from him very often, but man, so good.
I think as far as Ben Stiller movies are concerned, this might be my favorite Ben Stiller directed movie.
Yeah.
Cable Guy's up there, but to me, this is the most rewatchable of Ben Stiller directed or Ben Stiller acted movies.
It's so amazing. If you've ever watched it with the commentary on it, oh my God. It's like, Downey, his character has that joke in there. It's like, I don't even break character until I do the DVD commentary. He does the DVD commentary in character.
That's great.
Is he in character as Kirk Lazarus?
He goes from Lincoln Osiris to Kirk Lazarus, I think, at some point in there.
Okay.
Like, I think basically when he takes the wig off is when he like breaks character in there in the commentary.
Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. Pete, what you got on Tropic Thunder?
Man, I got to be honest. I've only seen Tropic Thunder once, and I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it since. But I remember enjoying the shit out of it, and I was surprised at the turn the movie took. I remember watching the previews for it, and it was like, oh, it's this comedy, and it's like, wait, about midway through that film, that actually gets a little serious and kind of drops the comedy for a little bit, so it was interesting to see, because that's another one of those movies I feel like it's like a hybrid movie. Like it's not just a comedy, and I like I like movies that it's about time to give that one another watch. I think I need to find that one somewhere and give that one a watch again.
Yeah, when it literally comes out of the gate with the booty sweat and busting up bars. I really wish they actually made that stuff.
I'm surprised they didn't. Try to squeeze every penny they could out of the marketing on that movie. But, hey, it is what it is. Mr. Jackson, what is your second? This is the first pick of round 3.
All right. I'm going to go with a once again, another very quotable movie. A movie that is so quotable that people quote this movie and don't even realize they're quoting it. With the term "Bye Felicia." I'm going to go with Friday.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Number 6 on my list.
Number 6 on my list.
It was lower on my list, but still on there.
That was, that movie. I mean, what else can you say about that movie? The characters in there are just amazing. Craig, playing the straight man, the Chris Tucker, Smokey, and of course Debo with all his bullshit. You had Bernie Mac in there. You had,
Tony Cox,
John Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that movie is same time, man. Same time.
I don't know yet. Yeah, I think when I put Friday on my list, I was like, I got to put it somewhere where Jamon can't get to it. And damn it, and you got to it before I did.
Yes. I figured between that and Coming to America, one of us was going to snipe one or the other.
That's the same thought I had. I was like, Jermon's either going to get Coming to America or Friday, and I got to figure out which one of those two I can snipe away from him. And all right, we split 50-50. Well done, sir.
Yes,
this movie is endlessly. You talk about quotes. There's not a lot of quotes, but those quotes have lasted for years now.
Yeah.
You got knocked the fuck out.
My grandmama gave me that chain.
There's so much good stuff. Ezel and all of his ridiculous antics throughout the movie.
My neck and my back.
I think it's been revealed that Ezel is the one that stole the boxes and not Craig. So it's so much to that movie. It's so low budget, but yet it's wonderful. Brian, what do you think about Friday?
So I was working at a movie theater. I started working in a movie theater the year after this came out, and within a few months of working there, one of my coworkers was like, "You haven't seen Friday?" I'm like, "Not really. I mean, it's not exactly what is going to be Friday night viewing in my household." Even though, so she gave me the VHS tape, and I took it home and watched it probably 3 times before I gave it back to her, and my parents watched it, and my dad has loved it since he saw it. Like, I mean, it's what can I say? For me, it came out of nowhere and turned into one of the funniest movies of the 90s for me. And I still love it. Like when I catch it, when I watch it now, it's still just as funny. And yeah, the quotable aspect is very, very high on it. So
I agree. Pete.
Oh man. Yeah. This is another one we used to watch in college. We used to watch this all the time. This and something else on my list. But we watched Friday all the time. Bye, Felicia became what we said to people as they were leaving our house. You know, we would just say, "You got knocked the fuck out. That's my bike, punk. My neck and my back." Craig.
You ain't got to lie, Craig.
You ain't got to lie, Craig.
Which is something my sister says to me all the time.
Right. And God, what's her name? Oh my
Nia
God,
Long.
I can't. No. Oh yeah. Nia Long, but that's not who I'm thinking of. I'm
Regina
thinking of Regina King.
Mhm.
Regina King, looking timeless again.
Mhm.
The woman she's got like Paul Rudd disease. Doesn't get any older. Like I'm looking at her in Watchmen. I'm like, you look just like you did back in Enemy of the State. You know, like
Yeah.
how are you? I don't know, man. Like there's so much about that movie that is just so wonderful and good. And just, yeah.
Agreed.
That's all I got to say about that.
And with that, the next pick, Pete, is on you.
Oh, sweet. All right. So this is, I debated about putting this on my list because it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, but it's most closely associated with Christmas. I'm talking about Elf.
Oh,
Nice
that's
one.
clever. No, I think that's a good pick.
Elf,
Yeah.
You
There's
know,
a lot of love for Elf.
15
Right.
on my list.
Elf is like I said, it gets thought of as a Christmas movie most of the time. In fact, like in my house for the last 10 years, we've only watched that movie once a year, and we watch it on Christmas. It's on Christmas every year, and we sit there and laugh our asses off. Like all of it, like me, my wife, the kids, that we're all laughing at different shit about the movie, and that. To me, it goes to show when you've got that kind of mass age group appeal. When your movie's not just funny to one type of person or one demographic, but it's funny to everyone. That I think is just the hallmark of a great comedy. I think that, Ghostbusters is another one of those that's like, well, there are some jokes that go over kids' heads, but most, they laugh at the "he slimed me" jokes. They laugh at the, it's another one of those. Multi-age demographic comedies, and Elf I think completely fits the bill. Still funny to this day, super quotable. It just, I don't know, Will Ferrell at his absolute Will Ferrellist. I think I personally don't think he's been any better than Frank the Tank in Old School comes really close. But like,
Brian,
yeah.
what you got on this joint?
I have never seen Elf all the way through. It's one of those movies that, like, it's on TV and I catch part of it every Christmas. It's kind of like A Christmas Story is the same way, where I've never seen A Christmas Story from beginning to end in one sitting, but I've seen the whole damn thing at this
you've
point.
seen the Pulp Fiction version of it.
It's just, yeah, right. I've seen the Memento version of of Christmas Story. But yeah, like Elf was, I could say that it was a huge hit when it came out, and I remember people coming back and watching it again and again and again when I worked at the theater for it, because it was just, I think it strikes the right balance between being a Christmas movie and just being a funny movie on its own right. And I think that Christmas movies, for whatever reason, are hard to make well.
Mm-hmm.
And Elf has been one of the few movies of the 21st century that has managed to become a holiday classic, and with good reason. I think Will Ferrell buys into his role in it so well. Have you guys ever heard about Will Ferrell's audition for SNL?
Mm-mm.
Where he came in and just got on stage and started pretending to be a cat with a ball of yarn. And like, that's it. He didn't say anything. He just started fumbling with a ball of yarn like he was a cat on stage. And it's like, when you know that about Will Ferrell, you understand how he's able to be Buddy the Elf so well. It's just like he taps into this sort of mentality and just completely sells it.
Yeah.
He's not leaving. I'm not leaving this movie until you believe in me as Buddy the Elf. And that's kind of the way he approaches it.
Jermon, what do you think about Elf?
Never saw it.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
another one of my blind spots.
God damn it, snacking.
That makes three of us who have never seen it.
Are you kidding?
Oh, wow.
I've seen parts like Brian. I've seen bits and pieces, and the bits and pieces that I've seen, Will Ferrell is so fucking annoying that I refuse to watch any other bits of it. That's what kills this movie for me. Zooey Deschanel seems decent enough. James Caan seems to be pretty much the same mood that I'm in the movie, just all suffering and wants nothing to do with Buddy. And I also want nothing to do with Buddy, which means that I probably will never watch this movie all the way through. I get to control the TVs. We have giant walls of televisions where I work at. And in Christmas time, if Elf is playing, I don't let anybody know. And that way, it never plays on television, and I will put Fox News on before I put Elf on. Those
fucking heat miser over here.
Man.
I'll be that. And it is time for my choice. We talk about quotable stuff. I know Brian has leaned heavy on what is quotable as his basis of what he's going with. And a movie that I'm actually surprised is still out there as far as quotes are concerned. I'm going to go ahead and take Anchorman.
Yeah.
Mr. Trash Talking Will Ferrell.
Right.
Swoops in. That was number 7 on my list.
And Ron Burgundy doesn't annoy you?
Oh, no, Ron Burgundy. See, the thing that annoys me about Buddy is one thing that really grinds my gears is, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Over-exuberance, which is what Buddy the Elf is. I mean,
he's a walking example of that.
Yeah. And Ron Burgundy is just an ignorant idiot. Which,
we are laughing.
Which you can make that funny. And he found a way to make that funny. But, you criticize me for the Will Ferrellness. I think it's the supporting cast that makes that movie what it is. David Koechner, Steve Carell, Paul Rudd, Christina Applegate. I think Fred Ward might be in that movie. It's so much. You got the whole Vince Vaughn angle going on there. That unlikely clash in the middle of the movie that they have.
The street fight. The street
fight
is just.
Even though I like the street fight and the second one better, this one was just like, wow, like absurdity.
It's so out of the blue. Like, they don't sell it. You don't see it coming. You kind of see it coming in the second one because you know it's going to be in there somewhere. So you're already looking for it, one. And B, they kind of set it up that way. But in the first one, it's just out of the blue completely. Just the fact that news teams would have beef with each other, I find absolutely hilarious.
I killed a man with a trident.
Yeah, you might want to lay low because you're wanted for murder. And Christina Applegate, I think, holds her own with all of these comedy heavyweights. She puts in good work too. Pete, what do you got on Anchorman?
I think that street fight is the best blend of West Side Story and Kung Fu Hustle ever. I feel like it's they're snapping and then there's axes. Like I love it. I really do love that movie. I think Ron Burgundy is a cultural icon now for sure. Like the legacy of Ron Burgundy has transcended the film, I think.
Will Ferrell hosts a podcast as Ron Burgundy now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I think that's genius too.
Yeah.
I think it's genius, and he doesn't break character. He doesn't get out. He's Ron the whole time. Plus, whale's vagina.
San Diego.
I'm in a glass cage of emotion.
Brian, what do you have on Anchorman?
So the first time I saw Anchorman, I went to see it with a girl who got really upset when Jack Black kicks the dog off the bridge, which was a shame because I thought that was funny as shit. Like I was only sort of like, and I'm kind of with you with the Will Ferrell thing. Like a long time ago, I was just like, I don't really like what he does that much. So I was kind of on the fence about the movie, and then we got to that part and she's like, I can't watch this anymore, and we left. So it was a few years before I actually went back and watched the whole thing, and I love it now. It's just a good testament to show that, like, you got to watch the movies with the right people, I guess. But the Jack Black kicking the dog Baxter off the bridge is wonderful.
That's gold.
It's wonderful.
Jamont.
Yeah, I totally did not know what to expect coming in on Anchorman. Yeah, Will Ferrell can be, there can be hit or miss, but this is definitely one of his hits. But this was, one of those movies where the supporting cast helped make that movie. Like, when you literally see, start off and see Steve Carell basically putting mayonnaise in a toaster or whatever, it's like, what the hell are we watching here? What are we in for? It's like, just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. From beginning to end, I think that everyone's got their moment to shine, especially with them all trying to get with Christina Applegate. You got Brick trying the pants party. You got Fantana trying the Sex Panther, and
so it's 75% of the time it works all the time.
It's a real panther.
So you know it's real. Brian, what is next on your list? What is your third pick going to be?
I'm doing some reorganizing here, actually, because there's a movie that I definitely want to take off the table in case anybody's going to swoop in. Think they're going to swoop in and take it. But before I get to that, I want to get the Zuckers in here, and but I'm not going to take. I'm not going to take like the most obvious one. I don't think. I am going to take what I think is their funniest movie, and it is an adaptation of a TV show that would have gone on the TV list that I had for the last draft if it lasted longer than 6 episodes. But I think it was only intended to be 6 episodes, and they are 6 brilliant episodes, and it couldn't have sustained longer than that. And that is The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad.
Yeah.
I saw this. All right, so this was on during one of my trivia shows, like a TV in the background was on, and I was so distracted the entire damn show because I kept talking about the movie and like pointing to it and be like, "Oh God, guys, all right, we're not asking another question until we get past this part." And it's just, oh God, I love it so much. And Leslie Nielsen is just about anything. He is to me the best straight man in comedy history. Mm-hmm. He's just such a blundering nincompoop. So it makes sense when he was cast as Mr. Magoo.
Frank Drebin.
Magoo later on, because he is like a live action version of Mr. Magoo. But Lieutenant Frank Drebin, just terrific. And we talk about movies that didn't age well. This movie has aged very well, with the exception of the fact that O.J. Simpson is in it.
I gotta take
Beaver.
Close to all those pratfalls now, like in hindsight.
Right, it might be a little bit better actually. Him in the hospital bed, and the bed's just crunch. Like it can be a little cathartic now. But Montalban as your villain, Priscilla Presley is a great love interest. Who knew she could have been as funny as she was? George Kennedy back from the TV show, just like, God, what a brilliant movie.
Brian, what you got on Naked Gun?
You're talking about you, Jerome.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, actually, I was talking about Pete, actually. Pete, what do you have on?
Failed on so many levels.
Sorry about that.
Well, yeah, dude, The Naked Gun. That's another one I grew up watching. I've seen it a million times. Like the safe sex part where they're both wearing giant body condoms. And
I was thinking about that now with the isolation and everything.
Yep.
And I think my favorite line of the whole thing is "Nice beaver, thanks. I just had it stuffed." And that joke took on many more layers as I got older. Like the nice beaver became, oh, I know, I know what he's talking about, and oh, it's the sight gag because the beaver, it's a stuffed beaver. That's not it though. I just had it stuffed. Oh, there's so many good multi-layered one-liners in that flick. It just slapstick at its finest. Good pill run.
I agree. I think this might be one of my favorite openings to any comedy out there, with OJ just getting fucked up and like he brushes up against the wet paint and he's like, oh. The windowsill on the hands, and there's like a foot in a bear trap, and it lets you know early what that movie is going to be, as well as the negotiation between him and the informant with the money being passed back and forth. And can I borrow $20 real quick? He borrows 20, gives it right back to him. Dramon, what do you think about the old Naked Gun?
I remember as a kid, a lot of that stuff kind of went over my head when I first saw it. But yeah, like watching it later on, you can like really appreciate the comedy in there. Like the fact that they like literally were just going nonstop. Even the opening like credits had that whole gag with the police car going through all the different stuff. And like, I mean, even towards the end, if you like just and watch the credits, there's like all kinds of different gags in the credits, in the closing credits and stuff. Like if you like you sit there and read through, like they put all these little Easter eggs and different stuff in there.
I used to love the end credits on the Police Squad TV show where they would just freeze. And the credits would run, and like one of them would be pouring coffee, and the coffee would just start overflowing, and they would just stay there, and it would just be pouring on the floor. Or somebody would walk in through a door and just kind of like maneuver around them and get what they needed and leave the room. Oh God, yeah, but wacky,
much good
zany
stuff.
shit. Yeah.
All right, Brian, what's your next pick?
Okay, my next pick is a movie that has somehow managed to stay in the cultural zeitgeist for over 20 years. And I don't say somehow in that it's not funny. I just, in the way that nothing has really changed and people can still relate to it. And it's not the movie you probably think I'm going, because it is a workplace comedy, but I'm going with Office Space.
God.
Good pull. Good pull.
100% on my list.
Well
number,
done.
Number 6.
That's
Yeah,
number 20 for me.
It's wacky. The characters are outlandish, but it's like a prototype for what The Office was, like the TV show almost, with characters that are just these inter-office politics that are just exaggerated and to these absurd degrees. But Office Space really speaks to, again, something that's very real and emotional for people who have ever held down a job. And it's not just about working in an office. It's about the absurdity at working at a restaurant, because Jennifer Aniston's character sort of embodies this bizarre, that bizarre kind of space a little bit. So I feel like it casts a wide net, and that's how it can appeal to people. It's like maybe you've never worked in an office, and maybe you've never wanted to just completely fucking destroy a fax machine or a copier in a field one day, but there's
You've
also
had that
other
incompetent
avenues.
boss.
Yeah, right. We all know a Lumberg.
Yes, we all know a Lumberg.
Yeah.
And it is not just them. It's like the characters that John C. McGinley and the Bobs, right?
What would you say you
do here? Like, oh God, it's so great. Stephen Root is so awesome in the movie as Milton. He could have probably carried the whole thing on his own.
Have you ever seen those early Mike Judge cartoons with Milton?
The cartoon, yeah.
I'm going to burn down the building.
Yeah,
set the building on fire.
But love it.
Pete, what you got on it?
Oh man, Office Space was absolutely. That was in my top 10, dude. I was absolutely ready to pick that. I think Mike Judge has got his finger on the pulse. That dude just understands what makes people laugh. I've got a couple other Mike Judge joints on my list too. Jermon's or Daryl's got me saying joints. In a business. I say that shit in my vernacular, and people are like, "What, are you trying to be cool?" I'm like, "No, I just hear it all the time."
He's in a yacht rock band. He's already cool. You don't have to worry.
Good point.
Yeah. Yeah, Office Space, dude. Lumberg. Bucker. I had a guy back, man. We used to watch. I used to work at an Arby's way back in the day, and Office Space was one we used to watch all the time. And one of my buddies would just come back while I was slicing up roast beef sandwiches. He'd just come back and go, "Oh." Just bust out laughing. And I worked in an Applebee's too, so I've seen managers go, "We need to talk about your flair." Like when I heard that for the first time, I was like, "Holy shit, that's real!
Yeah,
that is some real shit." If you want me to have 37 pieces of flair, just make the limit 37 pieces.
German, what do you think about the classic that is Office Space?
Oh man, that movie is so amazing. Like even like just hearing the Ghetto Boys and Scarface playing in there with him.
Yeah.
What is it like? Mike Judge, obviously, like from seeing some of his other work, he has an obsession with them or something.
Agreed. All right, let's keep this moving. It's my turn, so I'm going to go across the pond, as they say, for the first time since Monty Python was taken off the list. I'm going to go ahead and snatch up Shaun of the Dead.
Oh
yeah.
I knew that was going.
Good call.
Yeah, that was on my list for sure.
Yeah.
Number 8.
It's strange enough, it's actually number 3 for me. Trying to get that a little bit of that more contemporary type crowd with this pick. It's still quotable. I think this is one of the few that's got like maybe just the one quote. Let's head to Winchester and wait for it all to blow over. But everybody uses that quote, man, and it's also just a solid plan, if you ask me. The fact that it's really a romance joint disguised as a comedic joint, because he's taking advantage of this horrible apocalyptic situation to win his girlfriend back, which is in itself a great setup for a movie, and it just happens to be comedic. I think Pegg and Frost are off top of their games on this. Just some of the circumstances they find themselves in with throwing the vinyl at the zombies to see if that works. The fact that you never figure out how this whole thing starts in the first place, because you get little nuggets as he's flipping through the channel, but you never really get the whole story. I think this is one of Edgar Wright's better movies too. German, what you got on Shaun of the Dead?
Oh yeah, it's such an amazing movie. Yeah, Edgar Wright's like his style of direction was just perfect for this movie or whatever. Just those all like quick cuts he does and stuff, and just and you can never go wrong with Pegg and Frost. Like if I ever see the two of them in a movie or when I see their names in a movie, I'm at bare minimum going to check it out, because I mean they're just comedic gold.
I agree. Pete?
Oh yeah, I think it is the best of the Cornetto trilogy for sure. I spent when my kids and my family were out of town once, and I was still here at the house. I binge watched all 3 of them because I had never seen any of them, and I did all 3 of them at once. No, not at once, in the same day. Yeah. And man, Shaun of the Dead. When you were talking about it's a love story masquerading as a comedy, you could tack on masquerading as a zombie movie. Like it's another one of those. It's another one of those multi-genre films that pulls off all of them really well, because it is really funny and it does have a lot of heart, and it's also got some absolutely fucking stellar makeup effects, like surprisingly like detailed, very bloody, like very violent, and I was like I'm very shocked by that, but still hysterical, and yes, and Pegg and Frost 100%. As anytime either one of those guys are, I watched Into the Badlands, and Nick Frost is in, plays Baji in it, and I'm constantly looking for, like, is Simon Pegg going to do a cameo? Is he going to show up in this show? But yeah, Shaun of the Dead, 100%. And he gave us back "Don't Stop Me Now," which as a musician gets requested all the time. So
yeah,
glad I'm on top of it.
Good call. Brian, what you think about this movie?
Yeah, there are 2 types of movies I'm just always a sucker for. One of them is horror comedies, because those two genres seem so opposed to one another, but they're really not. I think they tap into the same sort of like just carnal urges that people have, like terror and hilarity. They go really, really well together.
100%.
But I also really love movies. We're talking about how you never find out how the zombie thing starts. I like sort of man on the street kind of low-key responses to like these huge cataclysmic events. Usually a movie would be about the zombie outbreak, but this movie is not about the zombie outbreak. It's about a guy trying to get with his girlfriend during a zombie outbreak. And it's just like, wow, boy, could this get any harder, And I like movies like that, where it's like the story isn't the environment. The story is actually something else, and all of that stuff just happens to be happening right now.
Right on.
Great movie.
All right then, Pete Lentz. it is on you.
All right. My next movie is one that has been mentioned on the show already, and I was trying to keep it low key so nobody else would grab it. I'm going to call this Mel Brooks's second best film, Spaceballs.
Yes.
Spaceballs.
Spaceball. And it's another one that's like is so immensely quotable, is so culturally relevant, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's, even if you've never seen Star Wars, you know exactly what the movie's trying to parody, and exactly where it's coming from with his I am your uncle's nephew's sister's college roommate. You know, make us absolutely nothing. You know, like that is still funny. Even like I said, even if you've never seen Star Wars, you still know that Luke Skywalker is Luke Skywalker's Darth Vader's son, in the same way that this joke in Spaceballs is funny because you know that. You know, and then there's a Transformer joke, which that inner nerd gets me, you know, Mega made. And there's so much to laugh at. All the tropes are there, all the, you know, and surprisingly good effects in a movie that's largely supposed to be a ridiculous comedy. And Mel Brooks shows up as yogurt. That's fucking perfect. The merchandising aspect, Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Like, I'm still waiting on it. Still waiting on the movie, you know, like, and that was an excellent shout out to you know, George Lucas and Kenner toys back in the day, and just so much about that movie is still relevant, still funny. Spaceballs, my number 4.
You know, Elon Musk manufactured a flamethrower that he sold commercially, specifically as a Spaceballs reference.
Oh yeah,
Spaceballs,
the true flamethrower.
He did it because of Spaceballs.
That's how you know this movie has some reach. Brian, what's your thoughts on Spaceballs?
I mean, it was the first Mel Brooks movie I think I ever saw, because Star Wars was big in my household. And so when that movie came out, I was probably not old enough to watch it, really, but 7, 8 years old. But like, it was everything, and I got a lot of the jokes because I understood Star Wars. And something that's always made me laugh, and I only laugh harder every time I see it, is the whole like light speed sequence where they go to ludicrous speed, and they've gone plaid, yeah. But where he's like holding up, kicking in the air. Stop it! I order you. We can't stop. Bullshit! Stop!
We can't stop. It's so dangerous.
God, just great.
Yeah,
Ready, Kafka. There's a lot of things in there to love.
I don't love this movie as much as everybody else does. Like, there's parts of it I'll always laugh at or chuckle at, but it's not one that I ever go back and revisit, with the exception of 2 different scenes. One is they've jammed us, you know, when he goes, he tastes it, and it's raspberry, and that, and you know, the search, they're combing the desert, literally combing the desert. Nothing to report here, sir.
Shit. Yeah. I got a hair pick. It's just like
the afro.
You know, the we ain't found shit guy is the same guy that played Tuvok on Star Trek Voyager.
Oh yeah,
yes. That's Ross. Yeah.
That's true.
Jermon, what do you got on Spaceballs, sir?
Oh man, love that movie. Like anything that gets Michael Winslow some work, I'm down.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Like, yeah, some of the stuff that just, like the meta stuff was great too. Like just that point where they put the tape in and they're literally watching right now.
That's one of the greatest jokes in cinema. That is one of the greatest jokes in cinema history. You're looking at now. When will then be now? Soon.
Awesome. And wasn't that John Hurt in that scene towards the end with the diner?
Yeah, in the diner. Yeah. Oh no,
not again. Not again.
See, and the funny thing was when I saw Spaceballs for the first time, I got that joke because I saw Alien at a very inappropriate age. So I understood when we was like, oh no, not again. I burst out laughing, and as a kid, people were looking at me like, why are you?
Yeah, how do you know?
How do you know that's funny? And I was like, because I watched it when I shouldn't have.
All right, Mr. Jackson, it is on you for your first of your 2 picks.
Yes. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh yeah, yeah. Here's one. I'm going to go with probably one of my favorites from my childhood. Even though I think the protagonist was a straight dick and a villain, I'm going to go with Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Nice.
Good pick.
Pull.
Good pick.
It's probably like when you think Matthew Broderick, that's probably literally the first thing you think of, and possibly the only thing you think of when it comes to him. He was a complete dick in that movie. And the principal, like, granted, he went to extreme lengths, but he was right.
When it comes to the lists that we do for drafts, I always put far too many on there, so I got a little bit of room and flexibility in case I want to swap one out for the other. So I made a list of 60. Ferris Bueller is number 57 on my list, specifically because of what you said. I think the tide has turned against Ferris over the last couple of years. I was on TV maybe 2-3 months ago at work, and I was just like, man, what does Twitter think? And I found a whole thread of people that are like, why do we like this movie? He's an awful, horrible person. And that's why I put it so low, because I think a lot of people are finally realizing what a shit person Ferris Bueller is. Funny movie, but I think their opinions of Ferris have dragged the movie down.
It's definitely, yeah. Regardless of that, it was, and I think it's the nostalgia factor that kicks into, and it's a fun romp. Like the whole premise of somebody basically skipping school and just having a great day or whatever without getting caught. It's a great premise for a comedy.
Agreed.
Yeah, I discovered it when I was homesick from school. Like it was a sick day from school, and it was on Comedy Central, and I watched it. That was the first time I saw it. I was like, this is a good time to watch this. Because I would rather be doing this, obviously, but I'm unlike Ferris. I'm actually sick. But yeah, I think I think the character in the movie I relate to is not Ferris, and I think that's the thing that maybe the movie invites you to want to be Ferris, because obviously Alan Ruck's character wants to be Ferris. Cameron wants to be Ferris, but like I was like, no, you don't. And Cameron was, of course, the character I related to the most.
I thought you were going to say Sloane.
I wish I could relate to Sloane a little bit more than I do, in a carnal way.
Oh no, we know what you're going.
Yeah, you did need to tackle.
Let me put it out there for you guys. No,
oh yeah.
But my take on Sloane is she could do better. I hope she did.
Yes,
I hope she did.
I assume she finally saw through the bullshit. Either that, or she got him wise to his antics. One of the two. Pete, what do you think about old Ferris?
Hashtag justice for Rooney, baby. Like the Rooney kind of going crazy and showing up at his house and shit. I agree, that's a little over the top, but Rooney is 100% right on the whole. Yes, he should absolutely. Ferris has been absent 9 fucking times, dude. That guy should be fucking expelled. But I'm one of those parents that are like, I take school seriously. You go to school, you learn, and you don't fuck around at school because it's school. That will fucking around will haunt you forever. Like that shit does not go away. So like, but on the other side, like watching Matthew Broderick be kind of a smarmy piece of shit is kind of funny. It's kind of, I don't know, there's something endearing about it. You're right, he's the villain, but like I'm still rooting for him.
You know what's really great?
I'm dirty about that, but
a really great bookend to this movie is Election. Because Matthew Broderick is like it's like this. It flips the script on Matthew Broderick a little bit. And it's kind of nice to maybe watch Election thinking maybe this is how Ferris Bueller ends up.
And then watch Godzilla. All right, Jermon, what is your next pick, sir?
Next pick here. Let me see. I had to pivot a little bit here. Yeah, I'm going to have to take this off the board here. This one is like almost to the point where comedy has become reality. Now it's damn near a documentary. Now I'm going to go with Idiocracy.
Oh.
Damn it! Oh.
Well done, man. Well done.
Oh,
It's 30.
number
30 on my list.
Number
You said
8 on
number
my
8,
list.
Pete?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that movie.
it's 17 on mine.
very, very underrated movie, but like
Sure.
it's so much relatability, especially in today's political climate. Like just seeing people like get to the point where they become total idiots and
But it's what plants crave, though.
yes,
Rondo.
I would take Terry Crews as president right now.
Brian, what do you think about Idiocracy?
So I did have it on my list, and the reason I probably wouldn't have included it is just for me personally, it's not as funny as it used to be because of the modern world, right? The modern world has made it a little less funny to me, and I feel the same way about Arrested Development, the TV show, right? It's like these are two movies that Arrested Development show and Idiocracy is a movie that I really, really like, and they are undeniably funny. But I think I need to give it maybe another, hopefully 2 years before I can watch them again. I'm going as high as 6 though before the wounds are the salve has been applied, and I can just laugh at it again and think, oh, remember when we were all scared of this? So yeah, but I agree. I think it's funny. It's Mike Judge at his most prescient, maybe.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. There's good bits of I think some of the best humor is where it's based it a little bit in reality, and we even at that time had a lot of idiotness happening. Or they saw the like Dax Shepard's character is definitely a place where people could go if they just kind of tune out all the real world and just get sucked into this, just watching TV all day long every day, and that's how you get shows like Ow My Balls. And and all that kind of stuff. I think it's my favorite Maya Rudolph performance. Trying to get away from Upgrade.
Yeah,
the whole time.
2Ds for a double dose of pimping.
And I think a lot of people, it is their best work. Like I said, it's my favorite Maya Rudolph. I think it might be my favorite Luke Wilson. It's definitely my favorite Dax Shepard, but that's a low bar. It's a lot of good going on in that movie.
You mean you didn't like Chips?
Pete was never invited back to the draft after that.
I feel like that gets said on every single one, and Pete was never invited back again.
Yes, we'll be reaching out to Brandy Blanton to step up and take his place. Okay, yeah, we got to move this along because we're running long. We haven't even gotten halfway through our lists. Pete, what is your next pick?
My next pick, none of this guy's movies have come off the table, and maybe he's not for everybody, but I think he's funny as shit. Kevin Smith, and I'm going to go with Clerks. Clerks was the one that set it off. To me, it introduced an entirely new style of visual comedy. I really don't think anybody's doing anything like Kevin Smith is doing. Especially when he was young and being a visionary, shot in black and white, shot on a shoestring budget, pretty much one location. I mean, they go to that one wake or whatever, but yeah, the whole people playing multiple characters, it gave us so many lines, trying to suck any dick on the way to the parking lot, berserker. There's a million fucking women in the world, man, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work. Most of them just cheat on you. Because Silent Bob not saying anything, and then that's what he says. Jason Mewes just being awesome. It's so much about. Plus, I actually got to meet a lot of that cast during the Zach and Miri rap party. So being able to meet them and talk to them and hang out with them and have beers with them, and then going back to watch that, it's like I know that guy. It's just a really cool. It blew me away the first time I saw it, and not many. I always walk away from movies going, oh, I like that, or oh, I thought that was funny, or yeah, I laughed a couple of times. But Clerks was like, oh my god, I have to immediately watch that again. Something about it it got me. So Clerks, my number 5 pick.
I put it fairly low on my list because I didn't think any of you would take it this high. I had it at number 40 on my list. But yeah, Clerks, man, that was a game changer for me.
For sure.
Clerks is what taught me how to write comedy. So when it came to the joint that me and
you write comedy?
Yes, I do. Clerks
You're
was
funny.
like our Bible for the most part, and like you said, it's for all those reasons stated, and the fact that
Yeah.
he had the balls to try to pull something off on a $28,000 budget, which is
Wow.
unheard of. If this did not work, he would be in debt for the rest of his life. And sometimes you just got to gamble and win, and he won in a big bad way. And shout out to
so.
Scott Mosier as well.
Mhm.
Jermon, what do you think? What do you got on Clerks?
Oh, love it, love it, love it. Like, it's probably I came in on Mallrats, and of course, going back and watching Clerks again, I was like, this movie is absolutely brilliant. Like, to have this much, to tell this much of a story just based off of dialogue alone, like, I was like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Mm-hmm. Right on, Brian.
Yeah, I think it was lightning in a bottle. It perfectly encapsulated the zeitgeist in the mid '90s, and people kind of like Office Space. It's like a lot of people in that slacker generation could look at this movie and feel represented, but this movie goes one farther because it looks like something you could make. So, like, I feel like a lot of aspiring filmmakers looked at this movie and was like, well, this I can do. Like, and it probably launched a few filmmakers. Whether we really came to know them or not is another thing entirely. I know at least one of them. Yeah, I think it's just something I don't think even Kevin Smith could capture again.
No.
And to be honest, he didn't. There was a lot of his movies I think are absolutely hilarious. There are some I laugh at more than others, but I don't think he's captured lightning in a bottle nearly the way that he did in Clerks. And
No.
and that's not to say that Clerks is my favorite Kevin Smith movie. It is not, but it's a very, very important comedy, and that's why I made my list.
I think there are, in my head, there's 2, possibly 3 Kevin Smith movies that you can look at and say, these are legitimately good movies, like by any reasonable metric. A lot of what he makes is made for his audience, right? And he knows it, and they know it, and we can coexist, and everybody's happy, whatever. But Clerks and Chasing Amy and arguably Dogma are 3 movies that exist for a wider audience than he normally hits.
Dogma is my favorite, actually.
Yeah,
that's my favorite one.
I think Clerks, it depends on what day of the week you ask me in terms of whether Clerks or Chasing Amy are my favorite. But Clerks is great.
Mallrats forever.
Mallrats for sure.
Yeah, that's my favorite of the Smith joints. All right, it's over on me. I've picked 1, 2, 3, 4 good movies. Now it's time to start playing the game a little bit.
Oh boy,
With shit you've never seen before, Jermon.
I'm going to go ahead and reach for that good old female vote and take Bridesmaids off the list.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Paul Feig. Yeah, I've never seen it.
it's a good movie.
It's good. It's a funny movie.
Definitely, it's like the anti-Hangover. It's really good.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good. I can't think of a single bad thing I've ever heard about this. I hear it's the best Paul Feig movie. It's the movie that really brings Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig to the limelight.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's as good as Ghostbusters, but
You keep hating on that movie, man.
I'm trying to get kicked off.
No, sir, you succeeded a long time ago in this here draft. What do you think about Bridesmaids, Jermon?
Oh, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Like, it's one of those movies that, like I did not take notice of, of course, like Melissa McCarthy or Kristen Wiig or any of the other folks in there until then. Like, I knew Maya Rudolph from SNL, but like just to actually see them kind of like, this is pretty much them in their prime to me.
Right on.
And that scene, especially that scene where they're looking at there's a scene where they're looking at the wedding dresses or whatever, and they had like some Mexican food, I think, prior to that, and I mean, it of course wreaked havoc on their systems to the point where they're just crapping all over the place. It's, oh my God, I howled every time I see that scene.
Didn't that movie give us Rebel Wilson as well?
Yes. Pitch Perfect might have gave us.
Was Pitch
Well, no,
Perfect the first?
that
Came
was
first.
This came before Pitch Perfect.
Oh, all right, right on. Pete, what you think about this joint?
Never seen it.
Brian,
I've seen it a few times, and it's probably on my list. It was on my list, and it's probably the most recently released movie that I even have on my list. It's which makes it maybe the only comedy of the last 10 years that's worth mentioning on my list. I feel like it is really, really funny.
Yes.
I'm going to put it on my list. I'm going to watch it.
There's one movie, Brian, that I have that comes out the year after in 2012, but we'll see if I actually go ahead and take it. But yeah, preparing for this joint, I realized I haven't watched a comedy in theaters in almost a decade, I think. It's been quite some time. But Mr. Martin, it is on you for your fourth pick.
Well, fifth
pick.
Yeah, fifth. This is halfway. Speaking of things that haven't come out in the last 10 years, although, I don't know, something might be happening there. I'm going to go with Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite Eddie Murphy movie. I think it's a great, and I think it came out at a really great time. It's a great mix of action and comedy, but like the 80s, it's just this pool, this stew of action movies, right? Mm-hmm. And Beverly Hills Cop manages to sweep in and rise above most of them because Eddie Murphy's so damn hilarious. I watched this movie again maybe 3 or 4 years ago and had not seen it in a long, long time and was amazed by how well it stands up. I mean, Eddie Murphy in that period could almost do no wrong, but yeah, just absolutely love it.
I haven't watched this movie. I've only seen it once, and it was years ago. But yeah, it's complete riot, and it does what Eddie movies do best, and it plays to his brand of humor and sarcasm and offhanded jokes, and a little bit of condescension in there too, wrapped up in the jokes. Sly backhanded compliments and stuff like that. I think is what Eddie is really good at that people don't really notice too much, and the action is legit good sometimes, which is the key to pulling it off.
And it has one of the, if not the best, soundtrack album of the 80s.
Hell yeah, Harold Faltermeyer killed it.
It's not Highlander
in that movie.
Highlander's that shit for me.
Highlander's that shit.
So just for point of reference, like I make song mixes for my trivia shows, and there was one night I'm sitting there hosting trivia shows, and like the third or fourth track from Beverly Hills Cop comes on, and I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, this isn't even a mix. This is just the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack.
German, what's your take on old Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, about that. Haven't seen it.
Say it, fucker.
Damn, this is exposing me, man.
Dude, Beverly Hills Cop, fix that immediately, bro.
Man, German is Swiss cheese out here with the.
Good Lord.
Pete, what you got on it?
Oh man, Beverly Hills Cop is that shit. I love that movie. In fact, I actually very, very recently watched 1 and 2. I won't watch 3 anymore. 3 is not very good. But Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, both of them are excellent.
I almost went 2. I almost went 2 on this, but
2 I think ramps up everything that made 1 good. I think it's a Deadpool 1 and 2 scenario where the sequel is just as good, if not a little bit better than the first one, and they are both amazing. Like it was Cherry Gantz? Is that or am I thinking of 48 Hours? I might be that might be a 48 Hours.
I always get those two mixed up.
But yeah, that's right. I am getting that messed up. Cherry Gantz is from 48 Hours because the Beverly Hills Cop is the alphabet killer in the.
Pete's like, I am getting them mixed up. I'm getting them mixed up. Fuck Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, fuck that movie. Nick Nolte's where it's at. But no, Beverly Hills Cop is that's tremendous. And then in the second one, you get Brigitte Nielsen. Just long-legged, Jesus Christ.
There's our Pete moment.
We've been waiting. I didn't realize it was going to be this movie that did it, but there's Pete.
All right. Brian, let's kick off the back half of this bit of business, sir.
Okay, I'm going to try to pander here a little bit, but this is a movie it was on my list one way or the other. It may have bumped up a couple slots just in the sense of wanting to pander. That is Galaxy Quest.
Oh.
I love that movie. That was the number like 13 on my list.
That was number
There are
2 on
people.
mine.
There are people out there who feel like this is one of the 4 best Star Trek movies of all time. And, it was,
Yeah.
and there was that poll they did at one of the Star Trek conventions at one point, and it was right after Into Darkness came out, and they included Galaxy Quest just to rub Into Darkness, rub its face in the dirt. And I'm like, we don't have to be like this. Like, when did Star Trek become about hating shit? But like, I mean, there are bad Star Trek movies. We just move on from those.
Yeah.
You know. But Galaxy Quest is a terrific movie in its own right, and it's great if you watched Star Trek and you were kind of in that sort of con culture mentality in the 90s. I think of the Shatner SNL skit, like "Get a Life," where he's making the speech to all the Trek fans.
Mhm.
And that's kind of where this movie just stems from, I think. But like, the cast is so great. Tony Shalhoub is wonderful as as just a completely out of his depth engineer. Like, why don't you tell me how you'd fix it? You know, Alan Rickman as the Spock character, who is just so goddamn over it. So great. Such a great movie. Love it.
Jermon, what you got on Galaxy Quest, sir?
Oh yeah, that amazing movie. Almost near perfect, satire of Star Trek and their fandom and everything. I keep thinking about what Sam Rockwell literally playing that guy.
Yeah.
I'm just
What's my name?
Pete, what you think about Galaxy Quest?
Oh, I adore Galaxy Quest. That's very fresh in my mind. I just showed that to my kids 2 days ago.
Wow.
I just showed it to them. I got a list I'm working down through with my kids. I always bring the list up because a bunch of movies that I pick for the draft are all shit that I end up making them watch. So so Galaxy Quest, we just watched that and it's just as good. And it's so funny. We got to the part where they get to the Smashers, and you can very clearly see that Sigourney Weaver says, "Well, fuck that," and they edit it. My son looks at me with his smile on his face. He's like, "That's not what she said." I'm like, "You're very right. That's not what she said." But there's so many, like Sam Rockwell's little freak out on the shuttle. The you have a name? Do I? For all you know, I could die when the door opens. And then later he's like, "What are you doing just opening the door? Is there? You don't know."
I think for me, this is early Rockwell. It's the first time I'd ever seen Rockwell. Sigourney Weaver has never looked better in a movie.
No, I was going to say. She looked fine as hell.
Fine.
For sure. I don't know. She looks
it's
pretty good in Working Girl, but she looks damn fine in Galaxy.
I think we expected it less. I think we expected it less in Galaxy Quest. We're like, okay, well, it's been a while since we've seen sexy Sigourney Weaver, so it should like, oh no, the boat has not sailed.
Right? Nope, still into her. She still rules.
All right,
yeah,
Ben.
Galaxy Quest, 100%.
Well done. It's back over to me. I will continue my tour of pandering for votes. One person that's or someone that's only been brought up once is a young Bill Murray. So I will go ahead and take Groundhog Day off of that list.
Good pull.
Yeah.
That's on my list. Got to take that off.
Yep.
Groundhog Day, 100%. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. My boy Ned Ryerson, man, just wants a little bit of love in his life. Just to be, respected.
Bill?
That was perfect. It's such a weird concept for a movie, but that works so well, and a character that eventually becomes a much better character by the end than he was at the beginning. And Annie McDowell helps out a lot with that. The only downside really is this is the movie that completely hosed Bill Murray and Harold Ramis's relationship.
Yeah, they didn't talk again until Harold Ramis almost died.
Yeah, I think
right before he died, they talked again.
Yeah, I think at that point the word was out that Harold didn't have long left. So Murray showed up unexpected at his house with a police escort, and I think like a
Yeah.
cake or something like that, and they just kind of sat and chat. So yeah, it's kind of bittersweet, and I can't help but not think about that whenever I watch Groundhog Day. But there's so much just manic wildness going on in that movie. I think without Groundhog's Day, you don't get a variation from Shaun of the Dead, where you see him get up, go to the convenience store, do all this stuff, and then you see that exact same thing happen with the zombie apocalypse in the background. I think without Groundhog Day, you don't get a scene like that in
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
German, what do you think about Groundhog Day, sir?
Oh, amazing movie. I mean, how many movies can say they have basically spawned an entire genre of movies? Like, you know,
Right.
between like Edge of Tomorrow and, you know, Russian Doll and some of this other stuff.
Happy Death Day.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, just, oh, wow. Like, and yeah, Bill Murray was the perfect, I think he was the perfect actor for that role. Was he, you know, he can play that dick like so well. And to see him gradually go through this, like almost to the point where he's becoming suicidal, and then you know, eventually turning around and becoming, yeah, like you said, becoming a better person. It's amazing to watch.
I agree. Pete, what you think about it?
Oh, I love it. It's another one that I've recently shown to my kids that they just thought it was so funny. And yeah, Bill Murray at his Bill Murrayest. And yeah, Ned Ryerson, baby.
Justice for Ned Ryerson. Brian, what's your thoughts on?
When celebrities pass away, like movie stars or directors or whatever, the immediate inclination is to go back to their body of work, right? And I know I've talked about Ghostbusters on this and my love for it, but when Harold Ramis died, the first place I wanted to go was Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'll say about it. It's absolutely a classic, and it's like if it's going to destroy relationships, hey, Groundhog Day is just the Murray Ramis version of like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. Like somehow,
well done.
strife can create wonderful things.
That's
Right.
true. That's true.
It pissed me off. I was going to try to watch it, of course, on February 2nd, and nobody's streaming it.
Oh no,
Nope.
they're going to take it off for that day and charge you for it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like everybody's going to want this.
Yeah, they're gonna make you
Yeah.
pay. All right then, Pete, it's on you, sir. Kick off the back half of your list. What do you got?
Right on. Well, I actually struggled with this one a lot for a lot of different reasons.
Chris Nolan has not made any comedies.
It is an SNL film.
Ooh.
It is a Mike Myers film.
Oh,
Yeah.
There are so many good SNL films, and there are so many good Mike Myers films,
and there are so many bad SNL films.
And
That's
so
true.
many bad Mike Myers films.
and so many bad Mike. I just watched a video on him the other day. And started talking about the Love Guru and how that basically killed his career. That and Cat in the Hat.
It was
But,
earned. He earned it.
Yeah.
But this movie earns the spot if for no other reason than it brought Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody back into people's faces. I'm talking about Wayne's World.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wayne's World is still, to this day, to me, consistently funny. I still fucking headbang every time we get to. I've played Bohemian Rhapsody live countless times, and I always bang my head, every time, every single time. And there's a lot of his Wayneisms. Monkeys might fly out of my butt. Swing, not. They're like, its impact on the way we talked back then was so palpable.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I can't say enough about it. Wayne's World's fantastic. It's another one my kids love. They think it's hilarious. Wayne's World, baby.
Jamal, what you got on Wayne's World?
All I have to say is Tia Carrere, goddamn.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, I burned my Pete token on Brigitte Nielsen. So I can't use it.
Javon is here to back you up.
Thank you, Jamon. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, that Wayne's World is an amazing movie. Like just hilarious. Like I don't think I watched a lot of SNL prior to the movie, so I wasn't 100% familiar with them. But I was like, wow, what is this? This is kind of what got me watching a little more SNL during that. That was kind of one of their golden eras, I guess. That early '90s period.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. For me, like what makes this movie is actually Dana Carvey as Garth. I think he's doing a lot of great supporting work. It's a lot of shit in the background that he's working with as Garth. But the Myers Carvey bond is just as good. I think is way less recognized than the Spade McFarlane bond that was also there. I think they're both very good bonds, but a lot of people focus more on the Spade and Farley. But I think Mike Myers and Dana Carvey had a special thing going on there. Brian.
I think what makes this my favorite SNL movie, probably, maybe Blues Brothers, but this is that it took the sketch and blew it up in a way that made sense, right? It's like, this sketch is real. Now here's the world that's happening around it, right?
Yeah.
And it was able to do that in a way that most of the other sketches weren't able to achieve, because a lot of those sketches would be slice of life stuff and not like Wayne's World benefited from being a show that these two characters were putting on. So translating that to a movie, it's like, okay, these are two characters who put on that show you watch, and here's their life, right?
Yeah.
It was a very smooth and easy transition to make. So none of the comedic momentum had to be lost, right? It's not like we're expanding an SNL sketch for 2 hours.
Right.
We're just building around that sketch to fill out that time. So it makes a lot more sense. And I think that, and I think Wayne's World 2 is just about as equally hilarious as the first.
I would disagree with that myself, but that's
I think the roadie character in Wayne's World 2 cracks me up every single time.
All right, Jermon, what you got, sir, for your 5th and 6th?
Wait a minute, I'm on.
I'm sorry, 6th and 7th.
7th? Okay. Let's see. I'm going to go with a more recent movie here. Probably, like, this is a movie that I felt had no business being as funny as it was. I'm going with 21 Jump Street.
yeah, dude.
I knew
Yep.
it.
Oh my God.
That was and number 6 between that and Galaxy Quest on my list.
Yeah, I completely, when it first came out, I completely dismissed this movie. Like, I was like, oh, another parody of a TV show. Oh, crap. But, I finally, rented it and watched it and everything. I was like, oh, my God, this is amazing. I'm literally like, like the fictional drug in the movie. Like, holy fucking shit. Like I didn't know, like, and, that was the point where I think you realize, like, these Hollywood producers and stuff have been casting Channing Tatum all wrong. Like, he's got some comedic chops. Like, like just the scene. I think there's the scene with him in musical class where he's all high as hell and he's like fuck you, Miles Davis, and just going off and stuff. And this is probably the best I've ever seen Ice Cube. Like,
oh God,
yeah.
Oh my goodness, just playing the the stereotypical angry police captain. But like, there's something.
Stop fucking with Korean Jesus.
Yeah. Even though I like the sequel better just because it's so meta, but like 21 Jump Street is like probably the most recent classic I can even think of. Like,
yeah, Brian, when I said I had one movie that was just 1 year ahead, it was A, 21 Jump Street, and B, going to be the next movie I picked. So thanks for that, Jermon.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I'm just sniping you all day today.
Yeah, this movie it has no right to being as funny or as good as it is. And the sequel pretty much keeps the same ridiculousness and ratchets it right on up. I think
the post credits in there alone was just like,
yeah, putting those two together was, whoever thought that was a shout out to casting. This is why casting needs to be an Oscar category.
Yeah.
There's two very unlikely people, and they bounce off of every bit of that unlikeliness. Pete, what you got on this?
Oh, my favorite part of the movie is the cameos by Peter DeLuise and Johnny Depp at the end.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Like that, because when I heard they were remaking 21 Jump Street, like, I watched 21 Jump Street when it was on. Like, I didn't watch the whole series, but I watched at least the first season because I jumped on Fox when it was first thing, because I lived out in the country and we didn't get there wasn't a lot of TV out there. And then Fox came on, it was like, oh shit, a fourth option. You know? And then it had all this interesting programming. It's like, that's the first time I ever saw Married with Children. It's the first time, I saw Star Trek Next Generation on that channel, like, And then 21 Jump Street was like, what the fuck is this? These kids in a high school and they're cops. And oh, wait, this show's pretty all right. And then watching the movie, and the movie's funny as shit, you know, really takes a comedic spin on the tropes from the show. And then the two of them show up at the end as cops or as FBI guys. And I'm just like, that is, and then they make reference to the fact that they were in the program.
Yeah. Makes all of it canon, like
right, like their cameo made the movie canon in the 21 Jump Street universe. I think that was brilliant.
Right on, Brian. What you got on this?
Loved it. It sort of came out of nowhere. I did not expect it to be that great. I went to a screening of it with a buddy of mine, and we came out just like, that was fucking amazing. Yeah. And then so like when it finally opened a couple weeks later, I took my wife and I was like, you've got to watch this. Like, it's one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time. It's terrific.
That movie made me think Chips was going to be good.
Damn.
They should put that on the DVD box.
For Chips or for 21 Jump Street?
For 21 Jump Street.
Oh, okay.
Movie will make you think Chips is good.
Jermon, before you pick your seventh joint, I just want to take a second to point out that we are over at the halfway point now. Pete Lentz has not shit the bed yet.
No.
So we got a whole new spin on things.
Oh, it's not going to happen. No, my next picks are aces, bro.
Oh, okay.
I thought Pete's got a pretty good shot at this one.
Pete's got a pretty good shot.
I'm hoping so.
You won't get this, as far as I'm concerned.
Shut! I want it.
Pete, you won't get it because of social distancing.
Plenty of Clorox wipes. I can wipe that bitch down and put it right on, dude.
All right, Jermon, what's your seventh pick?
Next pick, I'm going to. Actually, this is actually another more recent pick, kind of staying in that Apatow family here. I'm going with This Is the End.
Oh yeah,
that's clever.
Oh, okay.
Funny movie. I like that.
I was just like just from the cast alone, I was like, okay, I'm in. But like the premise of them playing, you know, fictionalized versions of themselves, dealing with the actual apocalypse is like just hilarious. And you know, seeing Danny McBride just shine in that movie, it's like, wow.
I made you guys breakfast.
Between this and another movie that may or may not show up on anybody's lists, Danny McBride shine like a mofo. I think it's the cameos that put this on top for me. Emma Watson, Channing Tatum again.
Channing Tatum, yeah.
Yum.
It was just, we needed this movie. A couple of them at work together, been dancing around each other, and it was just good to finally. This is like the Avengers of that comedy era.
Pretty much.
And then someone asked Jay Baruchel to come in for some reason. Other than that, dopeness. Brian, what you got on This Is the End?
I feel like it's the kind of movie that couldn't have necessarily gotten made even 10 years earlier, because I think you used to have to be a very specific type of person to really follow the lives of celebrities. Like my mother would read People magazine, so she was aware of actors and actresses in their lives not being on screen or not playing characters. And I think that generation of comedic actors benefited greatly from like social media presence and things like that, where the general public is much more aware of who these people are. And it's a little bit easier to sell a movie where they're all playing themselves, especially for people who might perform against perceived type. Which is, I think, where this movie really, really takes off, right? When it throws these people out there. I think of that scene in Being John Malkovich, where like Charlie Sheen comes in suddenly halfway through the movie, and it turns out like John Malkovich and Charlie Sheen's are like best friends, and they've been hanging out, and Charlie Sheen just keeps talking about like dead lesbian witches and stuff, and like John Malkovich is trying to just be John Malkovich. It was like, obviously these two people aren't friends in real life. But it was just the very idea that they could be was hilarious in and of itself. And this movie kind of takes a lot of that, even though we know these people are a lot more involved with one another in real life than the movie purports. But they really put that dynamic, flip that dynamic on its head a bit. So I think it's pretty great idea.
Pete, what you got?
The Rapture light cutting off Satan's penis. That I mean, you guys have already said all the things, but you didn't touch on the best part. See what I did there? Yeah, that movie's great. I know, and bag on Jay Baruchel all you want. He's literally the only person in the movie that I think I'd actually want to hang out with. I think I would take Jay Baruchel and be like, you know what? Fuck them idiots. Come on over. Me and you, we'll fucking smoke weed. We'll play some video games. Man, I got you. We can sit here and hang out, and you can write the next Sorcerer's Apprentice. Man, it'd be fine.
Hey, the kids will love it because hey, it's Toothless, right? What's his name?
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah.
I feel like he was literally the only straight man in that movie.
yeah, he definitely is the straight man in that movie. Yeah. All right, Pete, what is your number 7?
All right, man.
Where are these aces you're talking about?
Huh? Oh, you ready?
Aces.
You ready?
Yeah.
Speaking of aces, I'm gonna go with Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Ace Ventura, like we had already been given Jim Carrey as a little fun little dose of hilarity on Mad TV, but until Ace Ventura, Living Color. Sorry, I said Mad TV, didn't I? Ugh, I'm gonna but in Living Color, yeah, gave us Jim Carrey, and he brought all of that charm and all of that hilarity and dumped it on us in Ace Ventura. Like Ace Ventura pretty much established what Jim Carrey was going to be like probably for the next 20 years after that. Until he started doing shit like the Number 23 and I think it was the Majestic was the kind of the turning point for him to start doing serious stuff. But
I think Truman Show was probably the turning point, but Truman Show was
still funny.
Yeah,
Truman Show was still funny.
And it was also really, really great. And the Majestic was like, I'm really going to try to go like Frank Darabont level of seriousness, and it's not really working. And from there, it was a slippery slope.
Yeah, that movie really wants you to like it a whole lot, but it's not. There's not much there to. It's like, yeah, I saw it once. Okay, I'm not going to revisit that, But like Ace Ventura, man, if that's on, I stop. You know what I mean? Like I stop on TV because I can't wait for the. It's just so bad. Will you have a mint? Possibly some banaka. Asshole mio, sodomia. Like there's, and the sliding glass door bit, and Einhorn's a man, baby, and just so much that yeah. Guys, I can't say enough good things about it. And Jim Carrey's not made anybody's list so far. So, yeah, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Zerman, what's your thoughts on Ace Ventura?
Oh, I love that movie. The title alone is just like, because I kind of skew towards the more ridiculous, and that there's nothing more ridiculous than a pet detective. And the fact that Jim Carrey, he took it serious. He played it straight the entire, he was definitely committed to the character and everything. Like, even to the point, I love, because I think one of my favorite scenes is when he's rescuing Dan Marino and they're in his car. It's like, hey, Ace, you got any more of that gum or whatever? He's like, I appreciate it if you stayed out of my personal business.
I love the, now I'm going to execute a button hook pattern, super slow-mo.
Brian, what's your thoughts on Ace Ventura, Pet Detective?
I have not seen it in a very, very long time. But when I did see it for the first time, when it came out in theaters, it was very timely for me as a middle schooler. It was, it's terrific. And I think if you're gonna look at one movie that is Jim Carrey, like if we were to preserve one Jim Carrey film for future generations to understand who Jim Carrey was, it would probably be Ace Ventura.
It's not going to be number 23.
No, it's just
big ass too, man.
The degree to which he puts himself into this movie, like he throws himself into the role. It's like what we were seeing on In Living Color. Absolutely, this is what you would expect out of him in a movie, and it's terrific.
Yeah, it's another one of those where it was mad quotable for a short amount of time, and then it kind of fell out of the public consciousness. His manic, long-winded, fast-talking rants are always some of my favorite scenes. Like when he goes to meet Ray Finkel's parents, his the shotgun comes out and it's clicked in. What do you know about Ray Finkel? And he's one of those long-winded rants about who Ray Finkel was, and a hell of a model American. It's stuff like that you don't really get too much of. The delivery and the committing to the bit. And plus, this is like the last time we kind of saw Sean Young, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. And it's all that good stuff is in there.
It's also, I think, the last time we saw the librarian from Ghostbusters.
Well, there you go.
That's
there you
Ray
go.
Finkel's mom.
Yeah, Ray Finkel's mom.
I can't remember her name, but I know who that. My uncle thought he was Saint Jerome.
I call that a big yes.
And the montage of him, going through the Miami Dolphins players, trying to see who might have lost the garnet out of their AFC championship rings. All that good stuff is wonderful. I guess it is on me next. I'm going to go ahead and I'm surprised it has not been taken yet. I'm taking Clue.
Oh wow!
That's a good one.
Yeah. The first movie that I know of that I can think of to have multiple endings, and I thought at the time that is brilliant and revolutionary. And I wish they did more of that with today's technology. But alas, they have not taken full advantage of that. And I think this movie entirely, as good an ensemble cast as it is, with Tim Curry and Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, so many people, it all still rests on Tim Curry's shoulders as the butler. I know that the meme's been out there of, people say Tim Curry, and one of two things comes into your head and that defines who you are. It's either the devil or it's the butler from Clue. And for me, it's always going to be the butler from Clue.
I would argue that one Tim Curry role probably supersedes both of those as being the first one you think of, and that would be Frank-N-Furter.
Absolutely.
Rocky Horror.
Yeah, see, now Rocky Horror doesn't enter my consciousness at all.
That's a shame, bro. That's a shame.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't do it for me. We'll cover that on the musical draft next time, right?
But he's awesome.
I'm going to win that bitch too.
Clue, I think, was arguably the role he was born to play. The butler, yeah.
Yeah, it's so much good stuff. I don't know how you take a board game and make a film out of it, but God damn it, they did it.
People are still wondering asking those questions. Do you remember Battleship?
Battleship?
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
I think we're getting a Monopoly movie pretty soon.
Yeah, I heard about that a couple years back.
I'm waiting on Chutes and Ladders, baby.
As well.
Candyland, man.
I'd say the game of life sucks right now.
2020 edition. You don't move, you stay at home.
Jermon, what's your thoughts on Clue?
So about Clue.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Pete, what's your thoughts on Clue?
God, this
Wait,
is
no,
revealing.
I want Jermon to go ahead and say it. I'm going to hear him say it out loud.
You want to see me say the words?
Say it. I
plead the fifth.
That's some bullshit.
Pete, what you got on Clue?
Oh, Clue. I mean, you said it earlier with the multiple endings. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. It's and the fact that you can actually look at that movie and go, yeah, that could have actually been the ending, just because of the way it was shot. Like, there are so many holes that make those alternate endings possible. There's not just one outcome. You know what I mean? Because they're all plausible and they all could have actually been the ending of the movie. I agree that Tim Curry's absolutely fantastic, and the rest of the cast is brilliant too. That movie's just so smart and so wonderful, and just came at me kind of out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember being younger and going, wait, they made a movie about like the board game Clue? And they're like, yeah, you should watch it. And I watched it and I was like, holy fuck, I recognize all these people. How did this movie slip under my radar? And so I'm really, really glad I went back and watched it. Super funny. Didn't actually make my list, to be honest with you.
Didn't make the list. And that was a conscious decision to keep it off, or it just didn't come into your head?
It really, really didn't come into my head. I mean, it's definitely a funny movie. Definitely classifies as comedy, but it didn't enter into my head nearly as much as some of the Blazing Saddles or Office Space or Wayne's World or Monty Python. Like, that was all the stuff that I thought of first. So, yeah, right. Clue, Undiscovered Gem.
Brian, what you got?
Number 32 on my list. And like Pete, I kind of discovered it. It was like Ferris Bueller for me, where I discovered it years later. And I think the first time I caught it, I came in like mid-movie, and then I saw the ending, and I was like, this is kind of incredible. And I think what attracted me to it at first is like, yeah, that cast is just ridiculously stacked. And I think I saw it for the first time probably when I was in high school, maybe. So I was aware of Tim Curry and Christopher Lloyd and Martin Mull, and just like that cast with this material, it's a movie that probably shouldn't work, and most board game movies don't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that Clue, the board game, is about a murder mystery serves it well, but that cast does 99% of the work in this movie, and it's brilliant. I think it's great.
Excellent. And it is on you, sir, with your pick.
Okay, well, I would be remiss to let this list go without a Mel Brooks film of my own. And my pick is going to be Young Frankenstein.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's the next one I was eyeballing.
Yeah, I can't let it go. Blazing Saddles was ahead of it on my list, but just by a nose. And Young Frankenstein was actually higher on my list. I was going to mention it in the third slot, but I wanted to get to Office Space earlier, so I bumped it down, and then I bumped it again to get Galaxy Quest in there. But Young Frankenstein on my list of movies, if I were just going based on my own personal preference, would probably be above at least 4 of the previous movies I mentioned. But I think it's again, horror-y comedy kind of thing. It's a great send-up of a bygone era of film that I am personally really invested in. Like, I love the old Universal movies. So that's the great thing I think about Mel Brooks, is that he always like genre dives, and he goes all in for these different genres. And that's why I think so many of us come out of Mel Brooks, his body of work, with different favorites. Right? Because it really depends on us and what we're bringing into it. Like Spaceballs for a long time was my favorite, and then I really started digging in and watching his older stuff, and I'm like, I mean, he's always been fun, but like that early stuff was just, for the era that it came out, was just so edgy. Blazing Saddles in particular, but I think Young Frankenstein is another just great example of Gene Wilder at earning his last name.
Right on. Right on. Pete, what's your thoughts on it, man?
That's another one that's I've only seen it once. Not enough to quote the shit out of it. One of my favorite parts of it, though, is the putting on the Ritz. That's just hilarious. Peter Boyle, putting on the Ritz.
Yeah.
Terry Garr being just like hot as shit. Like, I remember her being very, very. She's no, she's not Frau. What's her name in that movie? What's Terry Garr's name?
Oh Jesus.
I can't.
It's
and we all brain fart at the same time.
Inga. Yeah.
Inga. Yeah, she looks fantastic. Is that Madeline Kahn's in that? She's is Madeline Kahn, is she Frau Blucher?
Cloris Leachman.
Cloris Leachman's Frau Blucher. That's right.
Frau Blucher.
Yeah. Gene Wilder being amazing. He was just an amazing character actor.
Igor. Marty Feldman is
Marty
Igor.
Feldman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Madeline Kahn is the one that the horses are always whinnying at when they hear her name? Brian, do you remember?
I don't remember. I think so.
Yeah, it's just whenever they hear her name, you'll always hear the horses neigh in the background because they're so afraid of her, but you have no idea why. Germain, have you seen Young Frankenstein?
I have not had a chance to see that. Like, I've only seen a handful of Mel Brooks stuff, of course, like Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, and Robin Hood Men in Tights. So that's definitely one of those ones I'm going to have to get into.
Right on. All right, Brian, what's your 8th pick?
We've only done we've done one Edgar Wright movie or one Edgar Wright movie. Only the one, right?
Shaun of the Dead, yeah.
Shaun of the Dead was the only one, and I am going to go with Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah,
nice.
Which I think the Cornetto trilogy gets a lot of credit, and Hot Fuzz was my alternate for this slot.
Yeah,
but Scott Pilgrim, just on a personal level, is it cracks me up every single time I watch it. And when I was sitting there watching it the very first time I saw it, I'm like, this is going to be something that I revisit over and over and over again. It's probably, for me, the most rewatchable movie that's come out in 15 years or so. Like,
Yeah.
this never gets old to me. And the visual gags in it are all just unbelievable, especially if you've got a background in like video games, right? And like the P meter and things like that. There's a ton of audio jokes in the movie. Yeah, exactly. Like he's asked a question and you get that mysterious music from Zelda. Just man, and there is nothing that makes me laugh harder. And what was it? Jojo Rabbit did this too. Than somebody spontaneously jumping out of a fucking window. Like there's that great scene where Scott's roommate answers the door and the camera pans over and you see him just burst through that window. So unprepared for it. The segue when the Seinfeld music comes in for like no real reason other than the fact that, hey, check this out, guys. It's, oh my God, hilarious.
It's great. It is wonderful. It's the best Michael Cera movie. I mean, yeah, hands down. It gave me Kieran Culkin in the mix as his roommate. It's Scott is a shitty person. Like, I think not enough people recognize that fact, but then that gives him room to grow into something towards the end of that movie. You know, Scott has earned a power of self-respect. It was that's the big part. Yeah, it was a test your mic question. And that last match.
Remember that?
Jason Schwartzman as your villain in there. Gideon does a great job. This is the movie that defined, I think, what the manic pixie dream girl was in Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Ramona Flowers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on old Scott Pilgrim there, Jermon?
Oh man, I love that movie. Like visually, it's amazing. You know, on paper, this movie shouldn't have worked. And well, technically it didn't work because it didn't make a lot in the box office, but it was definitely an underappreciated gem. And
I've always been baffled by that. I've always been baffled
Me
by
too.
its box office performance. Like, I saw a screener of that movie, and the crowd in that movie was a healthy mix of ages and backgrounds and everything. It's like a weird, diverse group of people watching this movie, and everyone in that theater was laughing. And I was like, I feel like this is going to be big. And I came out of there thinking, like, this is just spot on. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I spent the next 2 weeks like talking it up to like everybody I knew, and I got tickets opening weekend again to watch it with some buddies. And then it was like crickets, like from the box office. I'm like, why are we just tired of Michael Cera? Like, what happened here, guys? You know,
there's also that as possibility. All right, I'm looking up. First of all, right before it, no, it might be the same week. That's why. Okay, so it got swallowed up between two movies because at the same time you had Eat, Pray, Love, and you had Expendables. And the whole thing about it was, guys, we can't let Eat, Pray, Love beat us at the box office. We can't let Julia Roberts get that shine. We all got to go see Expendables. So everyone was either seeing one of those two movies, and no one gave a fuck about Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I remember that narrative was being pushed hardcore. Pete, did you have anything to add?
Oh yeah, no, just that I love that movie. It's probably one of the best video game movies of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think it's overstating to call it a video game movie because it actually had a video game tie-in that was excellent, and you can't really find it anymore.
Yeah, that was that 4-player like brawler kind of side scroller like River City Ransom.
It reminded me, exactly. It was exactly like River City Ransom, which is one of my favorite Nintendo games.
Yeah,
I could still stroll through that game with no problems. And Scott Pilgrim like took that concept and really blew it up to in my opinion, it's the best version of River City Ransom.
Yeah.
Is
I love that they
game
couldn't
is so much fun.
like the coins pop out of the first guy, and it's like it's not even enough for bus fare home. Like,
Right.
that's it.
and see,
So
and
great.
when I saw Scott Pilgrim and that happened, I went, "Ha! That's a River City Ransom joke."
Yeah.
And because that's 100%, because that's exactly what happens when you kill those guys. They go in their coins.
Yeah.
Chris Evans, yeah. Like I just watched it. I look at how many, we look back on it now, but how many superheroes are in that movie?
Yeah.
Right.
America, Superman, and Captain Marvel are all in that film.
Larson's
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. It's
You know?
crazy the
What?
amount of.
I'm not afraid to hit a
Punisher.
girl.
Thomas Jane is in there
Thomas
too.
Jane's in
Yeah.
it too. That's right.
Yeah,
He
the
totally
vegan
is.
police.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huntress.
Gelato's not vegan. It's milk and eggs, bitch.
All right, it is over to me now, and we have not talked about someone who kind of dominated the '90s as far as comedy is concerned, and that would be one young Mr. Adam Sandler.
Oh, here it comes.
So I think I'll go ahead and take Happy Gilmore off.
Damn it!
Oh
the
yes.
list.
Yeah.
That's the one to pick. If you got to pick a Sandler, that's the one to pick. That or Uncut Gems.
I don't know who that would be a comedy for. That's
That's
another
number
joint.
10 on my list.
Happy Gilmore is.
Oh yeah, if it was coming back around, that was gonna be my pick. That was gonna be pick.
Yeah, I think, man, that joint. I think
Damn
even
it.
the whole thing is, centered around Happy and his love of hockey and the golf and all that business. Still to this day, one of the best Ben Stiller performances.
Oh,
There
yes.
is. that dickish doctor. Carl Weathers was his name, Chubbs.
Chubbs. Yeah.
Up in there, yeah, Chubbs with the fake hand. The guy who's popping out, calling him a jackass all over the place. Shooter McGavin is one of my favorite villains in all of comedy.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
Listen to what I say. It's
I
so
want to go eat
much.
some hay. I just may.
It's one of those good, like that was the one part of the classic, like immature Adam Sandler runs, and I think this is the best of those easily. Jermon, what do you got to say about old?
Oh, I love that movie. Like Bob Barker putting in that work. who knew Bob Barker had hands?
I love when he turns around and calls him a bitch. Like, hey, it's Bob Barker.
Oh my
Pete, what you got on this movie?
Oh, dude, Happy Gilmore was, like I said, that was going to be a pick. That was already, I had selected that. That was number 10.
That was going to be your closing argument, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sorry
for
about
sure.
it, sir. Sorry
And
about
it was, I was thinking of that or Billy Madison, and I'm like, which one is more funny to me? And
Mhm.
Happy Gilmore wins. That's that movie I think is more funny because yes, it is ridiculous. But Billy Madison, the premise of Billy Madison is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That I mean, yeah, it was funny, and to watch him go the poo poo caca shit with the conditioner is better. I mean, that shit was funny, but I don't think it's anywhere as funny as a hockey player who has to turn to golf to save his grandmother's house. Like, it seems so. It was much more grounded in something that if one of those things could happen, it seems very grounded that Happy Gilmore could actually happen.
Right on.
You know what I mean? And a little more realistic. And then, of course, the cameos, Bob Barker, classic, Ben Stiller's classic. You're in my world now, Grandma. Just so much. Yeah, Happy
Brian.
Gilmore, 100%.
Brian, speak on it.
Yeah, like going off of what Pete said, I kind of long ago decided that when it became obvious that Adam Sandler really just makes one type of movie, I was like, well, which one is going to be the one that I watch over and over? What is going to be the Adam Sandler movie that I really latch onto? And yeah, it's this one. It's not even close. Like if you want a goofy, zany Adam Sandler movie, this is the one to go to.
Right.
I think Wedding Singer was another really good one, but it falls a little bit outside of what I would call a typical Adam Sandler movie, right? This, as far as just general Adam Sandler goes, it wins by a mile.
Wins by
sure.
a country mile. All right, Pete, what's your 8?
Okay. So my number 8. This is not what I don't. I'm guessing this is probably not on anyone's list, but I don't think I've ever laughed harder in the theater at a film than I laughed at this movie. Now that's not to say it's like one of the best. Obviously I've got a lot of picks before this, but I remember exactly my state of mind and exactly what I was in when I saw this movie for the first time. Super Troopers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's on my list, man.
I was expecting this.
It's number 42 on my list.
Super Troopers broke my funny bone, man. Like, to me, that it was Broken Lizard's first movie, brought them onto the scene. And of course they went on to make movies of varying quality. And then some of them made Tacoma PD or Tacoma FD, which I just started watching. And it is actually really funny. But for me, man, Super Troopers, that just came in under everyone's radar. I watched it in an empty theater.
Yeah.
And I remember dying laughing just at every joke. Every single joke was funny. And, Brian Cox in the mix on that one. You got, as the Highway Patrol chief. Those guys, the Broken Lizard guys, they are so funny together. Like, I don't think any one of them is as funny by themselves. Because, Beer Fest is funny, but again, it's like, okay, Club Dread was
garbage.
Only half funny. Like, there's some stuff about it that I laugh at, but
there's one funny line in Club Dread to me, and that's when Bill Paxton's character is somebody brings up Jimmy Buffett, and he starts bitching about how he came up with Pina Colada Berg way before Margaritaville, and as he's walking away from the campfire, he mutters under his breath, son of a bitch. And that cracks me up.
What does he say? Motherfucker. Son of a bitch.
Super Troopers on man, TV yesterday.
That is Super Troopers is it, baby. That's it. The only reason it's not higher on my list is because I'm trying to do that play the game bullshit that
look at Pete trying to win a giant club.
But it had there. I would have been doing myself and my comedic disposition a disservice if I did not put Super Troopers on this list.
Ramon, what do you think about Super Troopers?
Oh man, I loved it when it first came out. Like, yeah, those Broken Lizard guys are something else. That was like, I don't think they've done anything as good since. Like, that's probably like, if you even think Broken Lizard, that's what you're going to go to Super Troopers. Like, there were some elements of like say Slam and Salmon that I liked, but it was more Michael Clark Duncan's performance than anything else. Those guys.
Right on. And speaking of which, Jermon, what is your 8th and 9th?
8th and 9th. Oh boy. Let's see where we're going to go here. Yes. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and take another of the Cornetto trilogy off the board here. I'm going to go with Hot Fuzz.
There it is.
Yes. That was perfect send-up of the action movie genre, the buddy cop movie. You had Simon Pegg playing the, I guess the hard-boiled, like just by the book cop, and then Nick Frost was the I guess I don't necessarily say loose cannon, but he was like the action junkie or whatever.
Yeah.
To the point like where they're like constantly watching Bad Boys 2, I guess, for inspiration and.
Yeah, the one thing I love about that movie is when Frost barrages Pegg with the "Have you ever done this? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done this?" And all those are what they end up doing at the big climax at the very end. Yeah. It took me a couple of 2-3 watches to realize that was a plant, a setup for a payoff later on.
Right. That whole climax towards the end, where all those townspeople are just whipping out guns left and right, just absurd. Just
when they shoot the preacher, I think they shoot him in the foot, and he yells, "Jesus Christ!"
Yeah.
I still say that.
This was out of his wrist or whatever.
Brian, what's your thoughts on Hot Fuzz?
It was my number 8 alternate. So we were on the same wavelength here. I just went with Scott Pilgrim over top of it for personal reasons, but Hot Fuzz is, I think, it's probably Edgar Wright's best comedy. I think it's better than Shaun of the Dead. And again, maybe it's because of the action sort of aspect of it. I don't feel like we see as many like comedy action send-ups anymore, and that was kind of fun. But Peg and Frost are just on fire in it. Timothy Dalton.
I agree. I think Hot Fuzz is better than Shaun of the Dead, but I think Shaun of the Dead will get more votes than Hot Fuzz, which is why I chose Shaun of the Dead. Mr. Jackson, what is your ninth?
My ninth, I'm going to go with Napoleon Dynamite.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, that movie! Like, there is something about that movie. It's like it's just quirky as hell. It's just ridiculous, and there literally is no plot to the movie, but it works for some strange reason.
You want some of my thoughts?
It's just based off the personalities alone, just like
Yeah,
wow.
it spawned a good couple of quotes coming out of it. Pete, what's your thoughts on old Napoleon?
Oh man, I think that's the best we're ever going to see John Hader.
Yes.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, because I took a chance on him and watched that flick Benchwarmers.
Oh no, that wasn't.
Oh yeah.
No.
You hate to see it.
Yeah, you hate to see it. But Napoleon, his brother is hysterical in his Kip. Oh God.
I've been training to be a cage fighter all day. Napoleon Dynamite is a movie that there are two types of people. If you've seen it, you either love it or you just didn't get it. And I've always felt really, really sorry for the second group.
Yeah.
Like if you just watch this movie and don't get it, like you think you hate it, I guarantee you don't. You just don't get it.
Yep.
And if you did get it, would it be something special? From the moment he throws that action figure on the screen out the window and drags it behind the bus at the beginning, I was like, fucking get this movie, okay?
Sounds like somebody's drug an action figure behind their BMX bike.
Possible.
All right, Pete, it's what's your penultimate pick, sir?
Okay, so my penultimate pick is probably, in my estimation, the funniest comedy about weed ever. and I know Friday's already been on the list, but I don't think Friday is the best comedy about weed. I think Half Baked is the best comedy about weed. Fucking Dave Chappelle, y'all.
Yeah.
Shakes and bakes, all takers. I don't give a shit. That is so funny. What's his nuts? Bill. Damn it!
Oh yeah.
Why can't we
Bill,
get it?
The toothy guy, the white guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
We got you.
Constant bloodshot eyes.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Yeah,
Why
Jim
did I call
Brewer.
him Bill? What the fuck did that come from? Jim Brewer. Yeah. The Stephen Wright.
Stephen
guy
Wright.
on the
Oh my
couch.
God. Stephen Wright.
Very
Yeah,
much like a silent Bob, but doesn't move. Gives the little piece of, the piece of wisdom. And then, what do you think, guy on the couch? Fucking dog flies
Is it
out the
January? No, man, it's August.
There's so much about that movie to just be thankful for. Half Baked, man, will forever be something. That's another one. It's like, if that's on TV, I stop. I'll stop. We're watching Half Baked now. I absolutely love it, and weed. So
there you go.
It is
Done and done. Jermon, you got anything to add to old Half Baked?
Oh man, boo this man. That's
you ever suck any dick for marijuana?
No, I can't say I have. Damn, good calls. Brian, you got anything for that?
I mean, nothing other than what I've said already. Stephen Wright is brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, it is my pick. I'm going to go ahead and steal this before anyone tries to have it as their earth-shattering final pick. My next to last. This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and take that. I've only seen it once, and I haven't seen it in years. So aside from the turn up to 11-bit, I don't remember anything else about that movie.
Oh,
It's one that I've meant to go back and rewatch, but it is, that's the Christopher Guest mockumentary. That's what he does best between, this Best in Show. But this is the one he really nailed it on. I think this is the one, like Brian said, when celebrities pass, people automatically flock to what it is they did. Spinal Tap is going to be what everyone is talking about.
Yeah.
And Brian, what do you got for this?
I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more mockumentaries on anybody's lists. There's a couple, not just Christopher Guest, but like some good ones out there. And I don't think this is the first one that anybody's mentioned, right?
Yeah, this is the first.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would not
Idiocracy
do well.
is kind of there nowadays.
Right. It would not do well to mention any other mockumentaries before this one because it wrote the book, right?
Yeah.
And everything since, including Christopher Guest's output, and I think Best in Show is awesome, but it's all just trying to meet the level that this is Spinal Tap did. I think it's the way it's shot to look like what it is. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. And I mean, the band actually released music. So it's...
Yeah, there's also that.
Yeah, you need to put Big Bottom on your playlist, Daryl.
Yeah.
All right. What you got to say about this there, Pete?
Oh, man. I love that movie. I mean, being a musician and I mean, obviously this is about a fictitious band that makes it famous, but like a lot of their backstage shit and the studio antics and shit going wrong with their shows and stuff. It's like on a smaller scale, I could totally relate to where a lot of that comedy was coming from. Like the whole idea that they wanted Stonehenge to come down on the stage, right? And then it comes down on the stage and it's tiny little, and they don't realize it till it happens. They still got to do the show.
Yeah.
Or like when they come up in the pods and fucking Harry Shearer's pod doesn't open. And then it opens at the end and he's like, oh, he comes out and it's over. It's just absolutely just sight gag after sight gag. And it's almost like those sight gags are funnier than what the characters say, but because of the characters, character, oh God, I hate using a word to define another, but because of their personas, the sight gags are actually made funnier because of how they react to the situation.
Agreed.
That's a wonderful, wonderful film.
All right, Brian, it is time for your penultimate and your final picks.
Ooh, wow. I just want to say that my list going into this has been unchanged. Like, I haven't had to scramble at all. The only thing I changed was the position of one of the movies. That's the only thing I altered. So that's pretty amazing.
Very confident in your list.
But I also think that, like, we haven't really been fighting over so many movies. We're just all bringing sort of different perspectives to it. I think it's going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah.
My number 9 pick is between two movies by the same director. And even now, I'm just sort of like, which way do I go? Because I've gone horror comedy a couple of times here, and I probably have to dip back into it. And Beetlejuice is going to be my number 9.
Yeah, that's going to get some sympathy votes.
It was between that and Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which are both like, for those two movies to have been like Tim Burton's first movies, unbelievable. Like, what the fuck happened, Tim? But like, and not just him, but composer guy Danny Elfman, right? This is early work from him as well, and just the music that latches on and just you can't forget it. The look of the movie, it looks almost like this sort of like utopic kind of dollhouse village kind of thing. But the thing about Beetlejuice that sells it is Michael Keaton, who I don't think I've liked Michael Keaton more than anything in my life. He is so fucking good in this movie. Just disgusting, and the character he becomes in this. When he goes off on his monologue, when Alec Baldwin's asking him about his qualifications as like a people exterminator, and he starts talking about how he attended Juilliard. He survived the Black Plague and had a pretty good time during that. Seen The Exorcist about 147 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time I see it. Like, just and he starts out, oh well, I attended Juilliard, and he gradually becomes that growly voice. God, this movie just does not let up, and I don't know what was going through anybody's head to write like a screenplay like this. But there's the Beetlejuice commercial itself where he's trying to attract their attention when it closes with him saying like a little ad jingle where he says, "I'll eat anything you want me to eat. I'll swallow anything you want me to swallow. So come on down. I'll chew on a dog." And that's the end of the commercial. Chew on a dog. Like, it's just insane. And it's so funny.
Jermon, what you got on Beetlejuice?
Oh man, I love this movie. It's like one of my childhood favorites. Like, I'm kind of under the impression that Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's characters were like, I mean, they were proto hipsters basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they lived way out in the country, owned a hardware store. They built the model of the city. They listened to Harry Belafonte. It was just like random shit. It's like,
they were the Wayfair culture before it was cool.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, what is your final selection?
Okay, this is my dark horse pick. This is the movie that over the last several years of my life, I've seen more than any other. I've laughed harder at it than any other. I've forced other people to watch it. I've tried to spread it like some sort of horrible VD. This is, to me, I'm not sure there's a funnier movie to watch with a group of people, especially if the group of people around you have never seen it before, and that is The Room.
Wow. Wow. Should have seen this.
You should have known I was going to go there, but whatever the intention was, and I don't believe Tommy Wiseau intended to make a comedy. He's since backtracked and called it a dark comedy, right? Because he's just he understands why we love it.
Hold on a second. I got to put this out to the judges. It is not intended to be a comedy. Therefore, I think this movie is ineligible on this list.
No.
It's unintentionally funny. It is unintentionally funny, but I don't think it was ever meant to actually be funny.
But if you derive humor from it, doesn't that, by definition, become a comedy?
There is nobody but Tommy Wiseau who would look at this as anything other than a comedy. Let's just say that.
All right.
That is not a serious flick. It's not a serious flick.
Yeah.
But he intended it. Just because he failed at his project, he did not set out to make this a comedy.
But if you ask him now, if you ask him now, it's a dark comedy.
All right, fine.
Let it ride.
And again, it's like a bloomin' onion of comedy. It's like there's just layer upon layer upon layer, and every time you watch it, there's a new layer that exposes itself to you. Sometimes that exposure is Tommy Wiseau's ass, and other times it's like lines of dialogue. It's like, God, there was just so much that didn't make sense in that first time around. I missed this second didn't make sense. I love watching this movie with people. And it should not be watched alone. If you watch The Room alone, it's going to be like watching that tape from The Ring.
You're going to die in 7 days?
You'll be dead 7 days later. But yeah, that's
on.
That's my number 10.
Pete, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I've never seen it. The only thing I've ever seen from it are the memes.
All right.
Oh boy, Pete. Here we go. We're gonna watch The Room.
Jermon, you got anything for it?
I have not gotten a chance to see it. I've been find it anywhere.
Hey, I got a Blu-ray, so you can watch Tommy Wiseau's naked ass in stunning high definition.
Wow!
It looks his ass, his backside looks like he was shoved through a meat grinder and then it was reassembled.
It's the reason I never watched The Disaster Artist yet. So
Yeah. All right. So to recap, Brian's list is 1, Ghostbusters, 2, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, 3, The Naked Gun, 4, Office Space, 5, Beverly Hills Cop, 6, Galaxy Quest, 7, Young Frankenstein, 8, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, 9, Beetlejuice, 10, The Room.
Damn,
Pretty solid.
Brian.
Pretty solid.
Pretty
That's
solid
solid.
setup there for you. sir.
Come at me, bro.
All right, I am trying to figure out exactly how I want to go for my final. I cannot in good conscience just let this go unearned. I got to go with Airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
That was
on
my
my
number-
list for sure.
That was my number 2 alternate.
Nice.
It is number 27 for me, but it is my number 2 favorite of all time. I ranked it so low here because I don't trust Paprikans to make the
Yeah.
right call and knowing that this is this movie is Airplane is what 1980, so that doesn't jive well with Paprikans. If it's not
Yeah, right.
95 or above, they don't know what the fuck it is.
All right.
But yeah, I said it in my 100 for 100. Kind of the same thing I said with Blazing Saddles is as far as jokes per minute, I think Airplane is the top of the list. Visual gags, side gags, physical comedy, all that kind of good stuff. Again, wordplay comes to effect. Just the silly situations they find themselves in. The unintentional misdirection of not understanding literally what somebody said. How much further? Well, I can't tell you. You can tell me I'm a doctor. Things like that. Or we got to get into a hospital. A hospital, what is it? It's a big building with patients, but that's not important.
That's not important right now.
So many good quotes have came out of this. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on film for no reason whatsoever. You tried dragging Walton and O'Neill up and down the court 48 minutes. Peter Graves doing, I don't know what the fuck Peter Graves was thinking when he made this
man.
movie.
God, it's
Why
so
he-
great.
Yeah.
Good luck. We're all counting on you.
There's Leslie Nielsen. Good luck. We're all counting on you. So much goodness comes out of this. Airplane 2, we don't talk about it. But just the amount of heavy hitters that they brought to this with Robert Stack, Lloyd Bridges coming to play as well. It is, I think, as far as the Zucker-Abrams-Zucker combination, Airplane barely beats out Naked Gun. So to go ahead and round out my list, we've gone an hour longer than intended. Blazing Saddles, Coming to America, Anchorman, Shaun of the Dead, Bridesmaids, Groundhog's Day, Clue, Happy Gilmore, This Is Spinal Tap, and Airplane. All right, then. What'd you say, Brian?
I said not bad.
Not bad. All right, Pete, this is still your last chance to shit the bed completely. And
I'm not gonna. I'm
Bring
not
it.
gonna, because you
Bring
all are gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm predicting it now.
Medea's Family Reunion.
I'm gonna be honest. This movie's better than The Room. Sorry, Brian. I'm gonna go with Tommy Boy.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, well, no, they're
Tommy
trying to
Boy's
achieve
better than The
things.
Room. Come on.
He's great. Farley's great. I'm glad Farley's making an appearance here.
I want to make sure that Farley gets on the list because aside from someone like John Belushi, who was actually my alternate for this pick was Animal House, but I think besides John Belushi, Chris Farley is one of the best physical comedians I think that's ever lived, and his physical comedy is 100% at the forefront of Tommy Boy, and with David Spade as his straight guy foil, like it's just they have so many interactions that are funny. It's an immensely quotable film. What'd you do? I find myself I say that to my kids all the time. What'd you do? It just there's so much that can be said about Tommy Boy, but it absolutely deserves a spot on my list. R.I.P. Chris Farley. The dude was a comedic genius and deserves to be on someone's list.
I agree with
There
that.
it is.
Truth.
Pete, your whole lineup is as such.
Oh yeah, listen to this.
The Big Lebowski, The Princess Bride, Elf, Spaceballs, Clerks, Wayne's World, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Super Troopers, Half Baked, and Tommy Boy.
That's a good list. That's
That's
a very
pretty
diverse
strong.
list, Pete.
That's Pete might be coming for the big glove. All right,
he came to win. He came to win.
I did. I came to battle.
So it is all on you,
Final pick.
Snackin' Jackson, with the
Yes,
final pick.
I'm
I'd
going
like you. Go for it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say I'm going to go ahead and pull. I think this is the only other holiday movie getting pulled off of here. I'm going to go Bad Santa.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep. I came down between Bad Santa and Airplane, and that's why I was like, in good conscience, I couldn't let Airplane not be there.
Billy Bob. This is pretty much the character he has played in every comedy since. Like just a complete dickhead or whatever. Like, and like just the cast around him. You had Bernie Mac. I think one of John Ritter's last roles. Tony Cox was putting in that work. Like I still like to this day love that scene where he's like just running down Billy Bob Thornton. He's like just talking about like his whole soul is dog.
Your soul is dog shit.
Oh yeah, Cloris Leachman is a senile old grandmother and stuff. Just like
Lauren Graham in there.
Yes, yeah, that movie was stacked. It was just stacked.
All right then. And to round out Jermon's list, the 40-year-old version, Tropic Thunder, Friday, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Idiocracy, 21 Jump Street, This Is the End, Hot Fuzz, Napoleon Dynamite, and Bad Santa.
See, I think that's a good list too, because you didn't go with anything that was super old. There's like one movie in there from the 80s and everything else.
One from the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
He's playing that Paprika game.
Yeah, I was. I definitely was. I was thinking either that or maybe
Gather around, children.
Bad.
Yeah, Superbad was also an iffy one, and I kept skipping over it. So I really have no idea how this is gonna, because normally we can just go ahead and toss Peace out. Like that's
Dude,
that's
I wouldn't
not a
say
thing.
normally. My sci-fi draft was hot. Them paprikas don't know what they're talking about.
Well, comedy is also really subjective, and we don't talk about it a lot on Paprika, right? So there's not as many gauges of what people are into. It's not like the superhero draft. It's like, oh, we know everybody loved the shit out of this one, where we're all wrestling over the same movies. It's like I feel like there's a lot of like our tastes are coming in to each of our lists a little bit.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the voting, it's going to be like one or two movies each person latches onto, and that's what's going to get the selection for them.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, that'll do it. This will go up, or at least the voting will go up probably tomorrow as I get to work on editing all this business down into two shows. And and that's it. We will determine shortly, in about a week, who is the spring draft champion, who will take home the big glove. Will it stay here with yours truly? Or one of you three clowns run off with it?
I don't think I should be carrying two of them now. That's
All right. Well, that does it on behalf of Jermon Jackson, Brian Martin, and Pete Lentz. We will see you here in a couple months for the summer draft. You guys take it easy.
all right.